This is an Alternerd reality podcast.
Hi everyone, Chewburger84 here with a quick message. Unfortunately, we lost some of these files due to corruption. So the episode that you're about to hear, which was recorded on the 16th of October, the original files are gone. So what you're about to hear is a cut down version of the video that we put out for the patrons. Unfortunately, the chat itself is unedited, so you're going to hear some background noises. You are going to hear some overlap chat. These are things I normally do over a couple of hours with the edit. But unfortunately, that is all gone. So I do apologize, but we have identified and resolved the issue. So from episode 9, everything will be back to normal. And hey, we hope you enjoy this episode. Cheers. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Alternerd Reality Podcast. This is a podcast for all things nerdy, all things video games, basically all things awesome. I am one of your hosts, Chewburger84, and joining us week after week, he is a man that is ready to kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy. It is Hebrew Hammer. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good, especially after that intro. You make me sound badass as fuck.
Yeah. It's almost like that quote was from a badass movie.
Yeah, I wonder what movie that could have been from.
Yeah.
Wait, what movie was that? Oh,
Indeed.
this is Top Gun, isn't it?
Yes.
Top Gun. Okay.
So you haven't realized that the last 3 episodes I've been introing you using quotes from Tom Cruise movies.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. Congratulations. You did it.
It's my ongoing thing. It's happening.
Go for it. Any of them are better than what you introduced Pike as, so that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Well, no,
I agree.
he's pretty, he's powerful, he's perfect. It's Piker. How are you, buddy?
There you
I'm
go.
doing good. I like that one.
Well, I mean, it's
pretty.
all the P's. I mean, I'm literally out of every positive P word there is now.
Yeah,
From
so
here
enjoy
on,
it.
it's pedo, it's Pokemon wannabe. You know, it's not good. It's all downhill from here. No, I
Combine
abandoned
you
the
with
P thing
Thesaurus
last week.
for Christmas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need an
I'm doing
audible
awesome.
one though. That's
Yeah.
good, man. That's good. I mean, you and I are team sleep deprivation at the moment because #kids, right?
We can just roll out of bed and be zombies this Halloween. We're like good to go.
Yeah, can we alternate big spoon, little spoon this time though? Because you get a real sweaty ass crack, and sometimes you just don't want a moist sausage in those situations in a bun.
That's a compliment. The sweaty ass crack is a compliment.
That's
Is
the way
that
I
right?
took it. Yeah.
He's got a hot ass. That's the way you take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shows
I mean,
that
it's-
you're nice and cozy and comfortable.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, let's get the shameless plug stuff out of the way, shall we? So look, we are a relatively new podcast, guys, so we do need your help to grow. Most nerds travel in packs, so make sure you tell your buddies about this if you are having some fun with it. Make sure you join the Discord. We love hearing you guys talk about things we talked about on the show. Some of you introduced us to new games or things that we were wrong about. Like, we love those chats. So join the Discord at discord.me/ANR. Make sure if you are listening on Apple, you head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. Obviously, the higher the stars are, the better it is for us. If you do leave us a 5-star review with text, we will read out your review at the end of the show next week. And if you want to go the extra mile, so we're just discussing off air that Piker 100% needs a new fucking microphone and editing software.
Yep.
So if you want to help us continuously make our product better for you guys, help us out on the Patreon. Things starting off from $1. That's at www.patreon.com/ANRpod, as in Alternerd Reality Pod. So, we've had a lot of great people help us out over the last couple of weeks, and we'll do a shout out for them at the end of the show. Piker, how you been this week, buddy?
I've been working my ass off. I've been getting very little sleep. I've been feeling the COVID-19 crunch of, everybody working from home, kids going to school. It's been a week, but it's good to sit down with a couple dudes and talk about some games. So I'm happy to be with you guys and just kind of take my mind off of that for a little while.
Yeah, we're your
Yeah.
vacation. I feel
Yeah.
bad for you since we're your vacation. It's actually pretty shit.
Yeah, it could be worse.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Speaking of worse, how's exam preparation going for you?
For me,
Yeah.
it's going okay. I mean, I still am not going to be hitting my next exam part until 3 weeks from now because I just passed my my midterms section.
Congrats, bro.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, it's closing in on that. But other than that, I have some sleep deprivation too. So you guys aren't alone, but it's not for nearly as good of a reason.
Yeah.
You guys are taking care of another life.
There was just this awesome hentai show I was watching for
Yeah,
hours in a
exactly.
row, dude. Yeah.
Just binged it.
Not totally wrong. The new season of Schitt's Creek came out, like the final season of Schitt's Creek
right.
came out. So I binged the hell out of that over the past couple days. But yeah, like I'm in a daze of like really shitty partial sleep and Genshin, because I've been determined that to not let the amount of schoolwork I have interfere with the amount of Genshin time I have. So I've been taking away that time from my sleep. So I'm like, I have like really weird hours of sleep right now where I'll go to sleep for like 2, maybe 3 hours, and then I'll wake up and I'll play Genshin, and then I'll go to sleep for another like 2 hours or so, and then I'll wake up and I'll like, do some homework and stuff like that, and then I'll get back on Genshin. So it's like I'm in like a weird sleep state right now. That's for sure.
I'm glad to hear you've kept your priorities in line.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's all about the waifus.
Yeah, I gotta take I'm not gonna let my Genshin time fall, and I can't take it from the school. So yeah, I take it where I can.
You know, that one, mainstream journalist or SJW that listens to that section of the show is going to just screen cap that as, see, video game addiction is real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
You're the poster child now.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. What's the headline? It's going to be college men prioritize hentai waifus over sleep.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be that's pretty on point. I'd say we all do that in college stage. That's about fine.
College stage. I was doing it through my late 20s.
Yeah.
Until I met my wife. Man. The amount of times I'd be like, it's fucking what time? 4 a.m. Yeah. Jesus. I'm going to be working 3 hours.
Yep. It's only gonna get worse when a job comes into play and everything like that, like big boy job comes into play. I imagine it's always gonna be like a balancing act that I have to figure out later on. But I've just never been a good sleeper, period. I've always been a fucking terrible sleeper.
Same.
So yeah, it's one of those things. But
yeah.
Anyways, my week has been good though overall. Just a lot of Genshin, a lot of TV, and a lot of just schoolwork.
Well, look, we're there anyway, so why not go into what have we been playing and watching this week? So, Genshin, obviously not much has changed in the game in the last week, but any updated thoughts on that game?
New co-op event came, so that was something. Right. Yeah. I'm gonna let you go on this. What did you think about the mode? The new co-op?
Look, I mean, I still haven't finished the calendar for it, which I know it only takes a couple of hours, but
yeah.
Look, for me, I feel like this was bait in my mind. I feel that this was designed in a way that people who aren't all about min-maxing that currency, the in-game currency, free or spender, I think it's real easy to see events like this and just go, mash the spend button. The fact that you had to use, the in-game energy or currency, which is purchasable. So I'm going to call it a premium currency because it kind of defines everything in late game. I think it was designed to bait that currency out of people that don't know better because it was the first fun multiplayer event. So I think people wanted to participate into it to play with their friends or even with strangers. To me, the rewards were garbage compared to what you need to use that currency on elsewhere. So look, for some people who needed level up materials, it was not bad. But for everyone else, I think if you spent resin on that, you've potentially done yourself a mischief.
Yeah, for me, so I didn't think it was that bad. I wish that there was just cooler rewards or something a little more unique. But overall, I didn't think it was that bad because you did get the benefit of having the book. You got rewards to complete through there, and you can also do the event without spending any resin.
Yeah.
So
and if you did it that way, the free rewards that you did get from it, because of how far that you jump up the battle pass calendar, especially I'm rolling in on level 50 now because of that calendar. It's crazy.
Yeah, I shot up to level 37 now or so because of it. So there was definitely some good stuff out of it, but the reward if you actually looted with the resin, then it was definitely more beneficial than the a similar event that they have net difference whenever it comes to cost this one was definitely the more practical one to farm. because
Yeah.
you did get more stuff overall, but it wasn't by like a crazy amount, and like it just wasn't like that cool of a reward. I thought we were going to get something a little cooler, but is like it was definitely meant to be something like a little something to tie us over.
Hmm.
But and it felt like that, and I'm okay with it, but I would like something a little cooler and a little longer, a little less repetitive next time.
Mm.
But yeah, overall, like I'm still having a blast with the game. Like I've never been in a game where I've had to farm, like because I am having to farm a good bit, but I've
Hmm.
never been in a game where I'm having to farm like, so much and not feeling the grind at all. Like it, because it's definitely a grind objectively, but I'm just not feeling the grind part of it because I'm
Hmm.
just enjoying going through the world so much as I do it. So that might be more of a unique experience for me. What's your thoughts on it now that you've been off of XP for a while?
Yeah, I mean the grind definitely feels worse later on,
Mm-hmm.
and you definitely get pulled in a lot of different directions, and
Mm-hmm.
also when you're in that sort of late 30s area, closing in sort of 35 to 40, that's where you kind of pay for mistakes. So if you did level up some non-ideal artifacts early, that's going to cost you because you have a choice to make when you get up to that level with your resin about what you do with it. So, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
level up the character. That's going to take resin to get the specific materials that you need. Then you're going to have to level up the talents. That's going to require resin as well. Then you need to level up the weapon. That's going to need resin. And then once all that's done on all the different characters, and you're going to need up to 8 characters to be able to get through Abyss,
Mm-hmm.
is then you are going to have to take up the artifacts. And that's where then you have to go start artifact farming, and then you use those farmed artifacts to feed into the ones that actually roll well. So there's a lot. I think the end game's going to feel a little bit better because like what you need to do with that resin is not pulled in so many directions. Like once you have your core 2 teams, unless you get like new characters you want to bring out from scratch, I think it's going to feel a lot better because then it's going to be just running the dungeons trying to get proper gear. So I think that grind that you feel and that overwhelmness of I need to be so careful about everything that I spend right now with resin or with my time, I think that goes away in the end game, whatever that looks like. So it's just going to take a while to get to that point. So it's definitely feeling at the moment like there's a bit of a grind, but I do know that that's going to disappear with the content they're promising over the next sort of 6 to 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Because we know that the story mode is kind of going to plug in to those levels in between. So it's going to be weird to see how they roll that out because I think I might log in that day and let's say I get to, I don't know, AR 45 or something by the time 1.2 comes out with the new story stuff. Am I going to log in and there's just like 50 quests on my screen because it's got like all the quests that unlocked at those levels between 36 and 45, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's
I
very
bet they're probably
interesting.
going to be narratively blocked.
I'd
So I
say
bet-
so. And that's probably the best way to do it. And like you say, it
Yeah,
probably
I
just
agree.
starts off with like the starting chain and then maybe you go through each of the other parts. But
Yeah.
I'm digging it. So we know that obviously from the roadmap they announced during the week that in November 11th, we're going to be getting the Unreconciled Stars event. So that's going to be all right. But the big one's going to be in 1.2. So on December the 23rd, they're going to be opening up the Dragon Spine area. So that's when we're getting a whole
Yeah.
new area to explore. That's probably the one I'm looking forward to the most because that'll be, by the
Definitely.
sounds of it, a lot of new content. So if it's the same size and same amount to do as Leeway, I think that's going to be very impressive.
Yeah, I, all speculation right now, but like I would imagine that they probably will. I don't see them going down in scale. I would see them, if anything, going up just because they have been so successful. I could see them like ramping up quickly. But that being said, like, we do know now that it is going to be, as you said, like 6-week installments of like new stuff. So every
Yeah.
6 week we're going to get a new patch with new stuff. I think this 1.1 patch is going to be very telling as to how much of a fill in we're going to get to tide us over in between new regions.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like it's going to be every other one is going to be a new region, probably.
Well, it depends on where they put in the co-op dungeons as well. Like, because we know that's
true.
coming. So, I mean, if that's in between, then we have an end game to actually farm out in between. Then I think that goes away. I think that,
I think you're right.
It's going to become more like an MMOE type thing rather than the gotcha style game that it is now. And the fact that they're considering reworking the resin system is encouraging. I don't think they'll get rid of it completely, but maybe they've just
think that they should, honestly.
Well, in a way, I think for them it might be smart to do so because let's be real, they want people to spend more time in this game because the more time that they do, they might team up with a Chi-Chi or they might team up with a Mona and go, wow, that character looks like they're insane. I really want that character. Let's be real here. 2 weeks in this game, $100 million.
Yeah.
We know for a fact they're pulled in from mobile platforms, right?
Yeah.
In 2 weeks. So
you can get good appreciation off that, Pika, just from being in the MSF sphere on how much fucking money that is for a mobile game.
Insane.
It's ridiculous. But it's also encouraging because what I'm hoping is they're looking at the metrics because if everyone's spent on wishes and they're not spending money for refreshing resin, they might go, we don't need the resin system to make money. Do you know what I mean? Like we've got that there. We can just remove that barrier, keep people with the metric of just being in the game over and over and over again, and then make the wishes more attractive. Maybe open another wish. Maybe open a cheaper wish. You know what I mean? Maybe do deals on wishes at the start of a month and just really lean into that. Because if that's making all that kind of money, I hope that they don't expand the monetization like so many of these games feel the need to do. You know, like MSF is our point of reference for such a long time that they just monetize everything. Even the mechanic they put in a month ago, the first thing they did was made sure they could make a shit ton of cash off it and then make it hard to grind for everyone else. If you remove that grindy feel away and you have people just want to play the game so damn much and want to play a new character so damn much, make your money off the gotcha system. You know, just do it that way. Don't worry about the campaign bullshit as a time block that encourages people to log in, do their dailies, and then fuck off. That's a bad idea. So I think they'd be smart to lean into it. I really do. I mean, I'm saying that without knowing the metrics of spending. You know, but I cannot see people spending that much money on resin refresh. Maybe 2 a day.
Right. And I think that one of the other things is just that that kind of like almost goes against like at least what they've shown to be one of their like core philosophies, which for better or worse like has been a point for their previous game, which is that they don't actually want you on the game all the time. And I think that's more for a content creation standpoint. Like they want to try to slow you down too much so you don't like, you know, destroy through the content in like 2 weeks and then, you know, it's going to be like a really long time before you see content again relative to where you are. So like, because with Honkai, it's very much a like, you know, take your time going through it, you know, like come in, do your dailies quickly, and then get out. And then like, but yeah, I mean, there's so much stuff to do personally, I think, without resin that I still think it's okay. But I do think that it should be opened up a bit more. I'm sorry, I don't want to keep going on it forever because Pike, I know you don't play it, so but yeah, I'm just so like really excited for it and to see what's coming. And so far, honestly, I'm still impressed by the devs a lot. So
yeah. And look, you don't have to worry about like, you know, talking about it a lot because Piker doesn't play it. Because if we're real here, Piker doesn't play anything except for Bloons. Tell us about Bloons this week.
Myself. Yeah.
What's been happening in Bloons this week, buddy?
So exciting! They actually dropped a new Halloween patch today. For those that don't know, if you've got like kids that you like to, you know, play games with or something, check out Bloons. It is surprisingly engaging, not just as a kid's game, but like yourself. If you like tower defense, if you like strategy, check it out. It's been out for probably 2 years. There's a ton of skills. There's a ton of achievements to unlock. It's on its 6th version of a game. I remember playing Bloons 4 and 5 back in the day, and they're on 6. And so patch 21 dropped today. See, they've got a whole bunch of new achievements that are all Halloween themed. They've got new maps and strategies to jump into. A whole bunch of towers and monkeys got buffed, and some heroes got tweaked a little bit, and they pumped out a couple of quality of life changes and fixed some bugs. So it's still going strong. And if you're, finding yourself looking for something new to do, especially with the kiddos, check it out. Super free to play friendly, no kind of gambling mechanics or loot boxes or any of that. So it's definitely a family friendly game to jump into if you're looking for something.
Nice. Speaking of family friendly, but maybe not gamer friendly, Avengers. We didn't think of you back in our news cycle this week as us playing, but they snuck out a cheeky little update, Piker.
Yes, they did.
So there was some quality of life stuff in there, number one. So they had it so instead of having to run to the two ends of the earth to collect your daily missions, they've put in a little terminal on each side. So you only have to go to one now, which is actually quite good because that was such a waste of time, especially with the loading screens. Because good God, does that screen have that game have some lengthy load screens, bro?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Now, this is the thing, is that they went one step closer to making the loot better, and they made it the Mega Hive, which is kind of your weekly grind, 40 different levels of just the same monotonous bullshit that you're going to get guaranteed that you get 2 exotics drop, which on paper sounds amazing, right? You're going to get 2 of the best, items in the game. So I went in because obviously this is my, 4th time without getting anything, or maybe even 5th time.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, well, this would be good because I'll finally get exotics. Let's see if it feels like I'm being rewarded for my time spent, my 2.5 hours of playing this.
Yeah.
So I loaded it up for the first time in ages last night, and then finished it, and I got my 2 exotics, and it has exactly the same fucking problem that the end game loot system in this has, that it's too random. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, the same bullshit that they give me a piece which has melee build perks with ranged build stats.
Mm.
So it's already fucked before we even go into the specifics, right? It's junk.
Yeah.
It's junk.
Yeah.
So, yes, the stats rolled higher as a base, but that's great because what am I going to do with that?
Right.
And then the perks themselves had absolutely no synergy for a build at all. So, one says, on signature attacks, you will do gamma damage. I was like, okay, great. That's pretty good. And then it says, then on heavy attacks, which is a different build, it will do a different type of damage. I think it was shock. And then the third perk was increases all plasma damage by 24%. So it was literally 3 different builds of perks on one item. And they were all 3 of them melee build stats, where the stats that rolled were actually ranged. So there was nothing about this piece. It could not have been more random if it tried. It was literally junk. I will break this piece down as trash. And that's the problem that they have, is that they don't have directly farmable items right now. Now, we know that there's content dropping literally right now, where they've got the new daily Tachyon Rifts, which sounds like you've got the opportunity to get cosmic gear, but I need to see how random this is. They really need to start putting in some fixed rewards for your time. And that's one of the things I love about Genshin, Hebrew, is that you'll go into some dungeons and you know what the loot pool is.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of 3 different sets, and then it's just about you running it until you get the set you want with the stats you want. You know what the chances are. You're not unlikely to get exactly what you want straight away, but the fact you can farm for the perks that you want, at least you're more than halfway there. You can deliberately farm what you want. Destiny does this. Division does this. All of these games as a service, they all do this. They all have fixed loot tables at the end. There is random rolls for the stats or some perks, and that's expected because that's how they keep you coming back weekly. But the fact that this can feel like you can play 2 to 3 hours of this same shit for one game mode, which is so boring to play, and have that be the reward at the end, that it can be more useless than a purple item you have, which is 2 tiers lower in theory, is just an absolute joke, and just shows how out of touch these guys are in the games as a service model.
Yeah.
So in summation, it pretty much is the big issues that I hear from it is that its base stats are far too close to the other tiers, period, and every single part of it is random, as opposed to having at least some baseline that you're going to be on. and then other parts of it, like just parts of it, are randomized. Is that correct?
The second part, you heard me correct. The first part, no. So the base stats themselves that do roll on exotic gear, they are much higher now than the others. Okay, so it is a noticeable difference.
Okay,
but
gotcha.
they're randomized as well. So I mean, the fact that you could get a fully defensive piece, a hybrid defensive range that absolutely does nothing for the build that you're using, is a joke. See, if it was all fixed, like if it all rolled range gear, you might go, you know what? I'm a melee guy, but that piece is just so good. I'm going to pivot to just be a ranged version of Thor now because it's just I can't not. Like that piece is just insane. It's
So
just
like something
it's a weird choice.
more like something more like D2, like because in D2 LOD, like they had framework for an item, and the only thing that was randomized was the percentage of that particular perk.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And then that's why I don't understand why. Yeah, and the fact that that's Diablo 2 that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
How game companies still haven't learned that lesson now, or like watching how Destiny when it first started, or watching Division when it first came out, watching them make these same mistakes, and like those games are what, like 6-7 years old now at least. Mm-hmm. You know, how have you not learned that lesson? It blows my mind.
I think it's purposefully. I think it's more randomized means more of a chance for you to get something shitty, means, you know, more grinding for you,
more in-game time.
More, yeah, exactly.
But that's not what's happening. Like that's the thing. Like this is what they've done up until now, and they had like less than active concurrent users at one point on Steam last week that we spoke about in the news of under 1,000 players for a Marvel IP from a AAA studio. Right? You have to try real hard to make a game so unfun. Because that's the thing. Like, you're willing to sometimes put up with, like, a shitty roll if the gameplay feels worth it, right? But it doesn't. Like, it's so repetitive. Like, even the new content that's dropping, I saw a couple of quick videos from some content creators who rushed it within an hour of the patch. It's literally, nothing has changed. It's the same monotonous treadmill. There's no new enemies. Everything is exactly the same, except now there's a mechanic where you're dying over time and you need to rush through a little bit faster, and it just makes it more reliant that you need to have a healer in your team. Like, that's really all that's changed. Same enemies, same combat over and over. And I'm worried that, you know, I don't think they've addressed the real loot problem. It's not that exotics weren't dropping as much as they should. That was an issue, sure. But it's about the quality of that loot that drops. Because if it doesn't feel worth you grinding 3 hours of really monotonous, and let's be real here, solo gameplay, you are by yourself. It's just, it's a joke. So unfortunately, yeah. I'm going to try out the Tachyon Rifts this week, just so we can report back on it in next week's show. But I can't see myself playing too much of that game. There's too much other fun shit out there that I don't want this to soak up oxygen for me.
This game is like such a tale of two sides. Like, how did they get the single player story so good and the multiplayer experience so completely awfully bad?
Yeah.
It's
I don't understand it.
And it's also like, I'm really sick. I've said this a lot, so people might be tired of me saying it, but like, I chalk things up to how developers react to things now, not what the product comes out as. I'm much more understanding with that. This game had a really long time to come out and a beta phase, so it really doesn't have an excuse for coming out the way it did, but I could still easily get over that if the devs reacted well and swiftly. But the problem is that I still have fucking stat points for critical things missing on my characters after like 2.5 months, I think now, of this fucking game being out. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's so pathetic that I don't think I'm going to ever give this studio time of day again. So, like,
I don't think you're going to have a choice. There's so many good games that they've got, like, advertised coming up that are not games as a service. That I think that, I mean, most of the Square Enix Crystal Dynamics games are pretty great. This is just them trying to flex that into something. Well, I have to admit, with Final Fantasy XIV, the online one, I am surprised we're in this spot. You know, I guess that wasn't Crystal Dynamics, but, you know, it's still Square Enix IP. I'm surprised we're here. I really am. But there's too much competition. Like, I think that...
I mean more Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah, it's a weird choice. But, I mean, their other games have been pretty great. So I'm not going to write them off forever because of this, but I'll definitely be more cautious of day one-ing anything from them. 100%. Like, they're in the EA category for me now, where, like, you know, once my subscription thing ends with them, it's very unlikely I will, renew that and buy EA games day one, because they're going to be broken. So, except for Squadrons, that was actually in pretty good shape. Yeah. So yeah, Squadrons I played a little bit more this week. Baldur's Gate 3, I really want to spend more time on. I only got a couple more hours in. Still fun. I love the interactions between different characters. I love the random dice roll still, and how that completely fuck you on plans that you had. It was really interesting. Larian Studios released a map today on their Twitter, which showed that in the first big area, they had like a heat map, which is basically showing where like all players have died. And you see like, a couple died here, a couple died there. And then like a bunch of people died around this one area, which surprised them because there's a character you interact with that is very unlikable in the eyes of some of the players. So most people, even though it's not necessarily the way they want you to play it, most people try and kill him. So, and then he ends up kicking their ass. So that's been really funny watching how other people are going through that game. I'm hearing a lot of really great stories. I'm hearing there is a bit of jank and some of the stuff you expect from early access, but the bones are there for a great game. So I'm really looking forward to playing some more of that. A game that did its best to make sure I couldn't play it this week, though, was I was trying to get back in and play some of the pre-patch stuff for World of Warcraft, getting ahead of Shadowlands coming out in a few, months now, actually, because it's been delayed. But it was the perfect shitstorm that Blizzard, all of their, what do you call that app? I think it's the Battle.net or Blizzard app, whatever you want to call it, shit itself. And there was these massive waiting times on authentication issues because they had the Call of Duty stuff drop, right, within a couple of days of WoW pre-patch. So everyone trying to download everything, everyone trying to log into these two, massive titles at the same time, everything shit itself. So it's actually been unplayable. Now, the day before pre-patch, though, I was doing some testing because obviously I'm in the Middle East now. All of my accounts are on American or Oceanic servers for Australia. So I was like, okay, what is going to be faster here on the European servers, or can I actually keep my old account? So it was about 100 milliseconds difference between the two. But the one thing I did realize, boys, is logging into that game for the first time in probably about a year, really, fuck, it feels dated now. Like the graphics look really, really old. The animations on a lot of the abilities just look very, very average. Admittedly, that was in a lot of the starter zones. And, when you do some of the, newer characters, like if you go to the Draenei starting area instead, it looks a little bit better. But, man, it felt in a way, especially after playing like things like Genshin or, so many of these like higher, slick, high-res games, and especially when PS5 is dropping in, weeks from now.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I want to continue with the curiosity of Shadowlands now. Like, it was enough that just logging in and feeling how WoW plays, I'm like, I don't know if this still feels good or relevant for me in 2020.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been a big hiccup with me with WoW, because I've jumped in. I've never gone like super hardcore. Like I always stop whenever I get to raiding, basically. But yeah, like I've never been able to get over the graphics issue, and now it's just like, the more time passes, the more it seems ridiculous that it still looks like that. And so now that we are at this kind of like real pivotal point where the new generation of consoles are coming out again, and they're so much better in so many really meaningful ways, that it seems really bad. For a game that makes so much money still to date and has made so much money like since inception, I don't think they really have an excuse anymore to not like put in a WoW 2 or something like that, where just they restart. And they've done so many like crunches anyways that it wouldn't be a bad time to restart and do like WoW 2 with new graphics and all that kind of shit.
Well, I mean,
So
Battle for
they need to do
Azeroth put a lot of people off anyway. Like it's definitely been like one of the least popular expansions. And then, people were sort of reporting back a lot from the test servers going into Shadowlands. And the reason it's been delayed is that everyone's kind of like, dudes, this doesn't feel good. Like the gameplay is pretty jank. A lot of the new systems are pretty jank. And yeah, I think they're pushing up against so much. Admittedly, the new areas look much better. And, you know, I think they put in some work with the backgrounds, but the bones are still the same. And I think now, especially coming from Genshin or games like that, where, or even Avengers to an extent, that, you know, you really are in the world. Like, there's a verticality in that feels much better because, like, you can fly during combat, you can glide during combat in Genshin, you can climb up to the top of a tower. Whereas in WoW, it's literally I have my combat and then I have my exploring on my Griffin. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're very two separate things. And you know where the limits are. You can only go to certain areas with flying. So it just feels like it hasn't really kept up with a lot of these newer systems. And, you know, I think if the story's there, it'll bring enough people back in. But I just don't, for me personally, I think, yeah, I'm really reevaluating whether I want to do this because the time investment in this is going to be a lot. And with so many great games coming out over the next quarter, man, it's going to be hard putting time into this.
Yeah, especially since it is such a time-intensive game. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I'm finding it hard to justify it as well, especially since Genshin like kind of scratched that itch for me. Anyways, I know it's not the same game, but like it definitely scratched that itch because I had talked to you several times about like, hey, like I really kind of want to play like an MMO again, and you know maybe WoW. You know I'll jump in for WoW and Shadowlands, but yeah, after playing Genshin, like I don't know, like that's kind of done for me right now, I think, again.
Well, I'm definitely going to wait a little while now just because, yeah, the servers are obviously, you know, doing it pretty tough right now. Everyone's kind of logging in and just sort of hear it. But yeah, a lot of people aren't thrilled with some of the changes is the summary so far. But Piker, tell me about Hacknet.
Yeah, so it was an interesting segue because Hacknet is a pretty old game. I think it came out in like 2015. They've had a DLC since then, but the base game is 5 years old now. This was an interesting game. It was one that I've had my eye on forever. It's kind of been sitting in that watch list in my Steam account forever. And it happened to be like $1.99 on sale this past week, and I was like, why the hell not? So it's a terminal-based hacking game, which on the surface sounds kind of bland and like how could this possibly be fun? But it really is. It's very narrative. And you kind of sit in the shoes of a hacker. I mean, if you have like a swordfish Hugh Jackman fantasy, like put on some techno, think about Halle Berry and take off your pants. Like this is the game for you. You really like jump right into kind of this world of hacking and what they've done with the narrative and some of the side stories. Like you gain access to different people's computers and you can like jump into their email and kind of see different conversations that they've had with their dad about coming out as gay and how he doesn't support him anymore, and he still expects him to pay for his college tuition, and how could he possibly do this to him? And another one is a customer service chat with a person trying to return the Penetrator 5000 that they accidentally purchased. And
solid.
There's all kinds of these little tidbits of story that you can if you kind of poke around and search them out, that you can stumble upon and enjoy. And they have different missions where you have to hack this mobile game and change the high scores on it, and you have a lot of freedom in that. If you know some of the commands and you know what you're doing, you can make yourself the top scorer of the game at the top of all the leaderboards, and you can hack a knockoff KFC website, and you're trying to find the 11 secret ingredients so that you can work your way up the sort of hacker hierarchy. It's been a really different game. I at first I was a little bit like, I don't know that I want to jump into this game because of the sort of terminal aspect. It's commands, it's a lot of typing. There's not like a lot of graphics to it. There is not a lot of like, you're talking about WoW, how the visuals just don't keep pace. You don't have any of that here, and so I wasn't sure if I wanted to play it, but damn, in the end, I like that more, kind of stepping back to it at this point, because it's not a situation where it hasn't kept up, because there's nothing to keep up. It's just narrative. It's just story, and the bones of it is fantastic, and the music. Damn, they, as a person like playing a hacker game, like you think about the techno aspect, you think of like spending hours in front of your computer. They nailed the music. It totally keeps you engaged and wanting to stick with it. So if you are interested in trying a completely original and different type of game, check it out. It had probably, I would say, an hour-ish or two learning curve, figuring out the commands and when to put them in and when to use them. But they have a fully fledged help system that you just type in help and it'll give you all of the commands. And once you kind of get your feet wet with it, man, is it fun. It's really a good time.
The fact that you like that.
Have you guys ever heard of this game before?
I have, yeah. When it first came out, there was a lot of people saying that it felt like a very, like playing a hacker in a 1980s action movie.
Yes.
And I was like, there is something very appealing about that idea, in hackers or something like that. But the fact that you like this game and the fact that I know that you're a massive Assassin's Creed fan, did you ever play the Watch Dogs series?
So I played the original Watch Dogs game, and it was such a dumpster fire that I never finished it. It was god awful. I was so excited for that game. I followed it all through development. I was all about it, and it broke my heart when it came out.
Dude, play the second one. The second one was what that first one should have been. It was really good.
You told me that so many times. I can't get hurt again. I can't get hurt again.
Well, I'm definitely going to play 3, so I'll play it first and I'll let you know. But yeah, 1, I agree with you. It was trash. The systems that they promised weren't there. Like, it had some good bones, but I mean, it just didn't really have the narrative that was interesting enough and all that. But those little moments that you described, that's why I love Watch Dogs 2 so much, is that like you're walking on the street and you can scan anyone's mobile phone. Right. And this is like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that chick's a hooker. And it's like, this one is a pimp. And it's like, this guy is a bank manager. And like watching the text messages and that they're sending or listening into phone calls was hilarious. And the way they did Watch Dogs 2, they did a lot of like social commentary for the time as well. I can only imagine, like, I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts that there will be, like, you'll be going past someone and it's like a, OnlyFans influencer or something, like whatever they'll call their OnlyFans in that universe. You know what I mean? And I'll be like, listening to that, and like, it'd probably like listening to this woman go about, how much money she's making from all these simps. Like, I expect conversations like that because they were very, very good at nailing the whole sort of nerd sphere and political climate that was happening around the time of Watch Dogs 2. So if they do that with Watch Dogs 3, in the 2020 landscape, especially with everything that's come out this year about things like, the Patriot Act and all that, I think it's a very interesting potential for where it goes. Although Watch Dogs 3 does look like it's going to be a very different game, like almost like a revolution in London. So in that case, I'm probably going to still recommend Watch Dogs 2 to you. We'll see. Okay.
Yeah, you've told me that a couple times. I might have to kind of check for it to, hit sale and, pick it up on the cheap.
Yeah, I mean, because it's got the format that you like with Assassin's Creed, and it's got this very hacky element to it. So I think you'll dig it. I really do.
If it doesn't live up, I'm going to blame you.
Yeah, you should. You should, absolutely. Now, I know that Hebrew is, but are you an ARPG fan, Piker? Like, do you like Diablo 2, Diablo 3 style games? Never played them. Okay.
Wow. You never played like D2 at all? You never played any of the Diablo series?
No, I never played any of the Diablo series.
No.
Wow. I feel like everyone that, even non-gamers, have played Diablo 3. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, it's, yeah. I'm interested to see how you find Immortal when it comes to your phone. And although that'll be, I'm guessing, a very different game. So Torchlight 3 finally hit 1.0 this week. Did you play the Torchlight series at all, Hebrew?
I played the original a little bit, yeah, but I didn't play the new one.
Yeah, so like when it went into early access, I bought it day one and was really keen on exploring that because I was a big Torchlight 2 fan, and it was in real bad shape. The systems weren't really there. There wasn't really end-game build flexibility. There was a lot of limitations that it had. It ran like crap. It looked like crap. That's early access. Like, sometimes I guess you expect this, but with them, we were expecting it to be much closer to finish because they were saying they were only about 30 to 60 days from launch 1.0, which is where we are now. So they've come a long way in that time, and it seems like they've taken a lot of the right feedback away. They changed a couple of systems that were there at the end of beta and into early access that were very necessary and I think very positive. So one of the things that was really irritating in early access was most of the great items that you got were called lifebound. And what that meant is they were incredibly powerful, like ludicrously so. But when you die, they're bound to your life, they're gone. So you had to always make
It's an
sure.
interesting take.
Yeah, you always had to make sure that you had a backup item, because if you didn't, you could literally be out in the middle of nowhere with no weapon. Like, you're just done. So it was quite irritating that all of that loot would drop as, like, anything even half decent was life bound. So it looks like they've changed that now. What you get as, like, randomized drops, and sometimes instead of getting a weapon, you'll get a life bound scroll. And what that will do is, on a weapon or a piece of armor of your choice, you can use the life-bound scroll on it. It increases all the statistics on that item by 20%, and then it becomes life-bound. So you can choose where the risk is. I really like that change. I really do, because it definitely makes you feel a death. Like, if you get a massive weapon and then you upgrade it by 20%, and then you die, bro, you'll feel that real hard.
The one thing that I don't like about that, just like hearing it, is that like I make a direct comparison here to Diablo, because they're like the same.
Yeah.
But like high powered items on Diablo, like they always had like really cool effects, and so like I think it would have been more interesting if lifebound items just had like were item specific, but they gave you like really cool, like crazy effects, kind of like in Borderlands, how some items are like absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they were lifebound. By making it a scroll, you're just like increasing the stats on a normal item, so you don't have anything like super crazy. So I think it would have been even cooler if they would have done like just some crazy items are in the world, but they are lifebound, so if you die, you lose them. I think that would have been funner, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, so I mean, and it's interesting as well. So the one part that hasn't evolved too much is in regards to the skill trees. So there's a primary tree, a secondary tree for each class, and then for every character that you have a relic. So there are, I think it's 6 different relics you can choose from right now. Like, one's ice, one's fire, one's poison, the old sort of memes. And then you'll equip that so you can do these hybrids. So it's like your class plus the generic abilities, mix that together and away you go. So when you play games like Path of Exile or things like Walson, it definitely feels very, very limited. Or even Diablo, like there's significantly less abilities in this game than there are in things like Diablo 3. So the flexibility of builds doesn't really seem like it's there. It seems like every character has probably max maybe 1 to 2 builds. Maybe that changes based on what gear gives you later on, because it is definitely more like Diablo 2 in that sense, where like items will have +3 to your blizzard skill. Do you know what I mean? So if you're an ice mage, you'll go, okay, I'm gonna do that. So
right,
yeah. And look, it definitely doesn't feel as slick in the gameplay, especially for the melee characters, as Diablo does. There's something about the combat that feels very dynamic, very fast paced, and very weighty. Like, it feels like when you hit things with a big ability in Diablo 3, they explode, they're flying into the sky, they get knocked back. Like, there's something about it that feels very visceral and very real, even for an ARPG. With Torchlight 3, it doesn't have that. It definitely feels more cartoony and feels a little bit more like Diablo 2 in that sense. So I think this is going to be one of those games that if you really like Torchlight 2, you're going to enjoy this. Okay? If you like Diablo 2, you're going to enjoy this. I don't think it's a very, very replayable game, because it's nowhere near as multiplayer oriented as so many of these ARPGs are now. Yes, there is co-op mode in there, but at the moment it doesn't seem to do too much. And the story's not uber strong. I mean, I'm only a few hours in. I'm almost to where I was during the early access before the wipe. But it's not really hooking me the way that, things like Blizzard did with Diablo, where when I first played through that, I wanted to get to the end of the next act because I wanted to see that cinematic. I wanted to see the story progress. So, Torchlight 3 is one of those ones that if it comes up on sale, you've got an ARPG itch that you want to scratch that's not Diablo 3 or Path of Exile. Yeah, I think there are games out there that do it better for ARPGs. Like, I'd say Grim Dawn was probably one of my favorite ARPG titles over the last 5 or 6 years that it should be way more popular than it is. I mean, it's not as replayable as a lot of things like Diablo 3 with seasonal based content, but Grim Dawn is a hell of an ARPG, and I think it deserves a lot more love than it got. So yeah, I think Torchlight 3 is okay. It's certainly a very, very passable ARPG, but I don't think it excels at anything. I don't think it's breaking new ground in any ways, except for choo-choo trains. That's probably the only thing that's really cool. Where you can literally summon a train and build tracks as you go with one character. He's basically like a turret summoner type character. So
that is pretty cool.
Oh look, and aesthetically, it's got its own style that Torchlight does. It's everything sort of Torchlight, but just brushed up a little bit. So it's certainly very passable. It's not a terrible game by any metrics, but it's certainly nothing that in the next 6 months you need to rush out and definitely play and buy now. Maybe that'll change if they put in more content, but we'll see.
Fair enough.
All right, boys, what do you say? Time for the nerdy news.
Nerdy
news.
All right. Did you guys ever play the Pokemon trading card game back in the day?
Of course.
You did?
Of course not.
Of course not. Okay. So did you used to buy the packs like at the shop all the time, or?
Yes.
Did you ever own a Charizard card?
Absolutely.
Did you really?
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
I mean, not tons, but there was a good amount of people that owned a Charizard. I have a feeling that this Charizard, though, because there was first editions and stuff like that.
That's right.
I have a feeling that this was like a first edition or maybe a misprint Charizard or something like that. Like, it wasn't crazy unheard of for someone to have a holographic Charizard.
Yeah. So this is, as you say, it's a first edition holographic Charizard in mint condition. Has been sold for $226,000 or if you are from the land of the Palms, England, 173,000 pounds. And that was purchased by the rapper Logic. Like, this is just one of those really fun stories.
Yeah, I wonder if that was an overpay, because I remember watching some video not too terribly long ago. I want to say it was like a year ago, where it was like a BuzzFeed video or something, where it was like people brought in their Pokemon cards and a professional like card trader came in and valued all their cards.
Right.
And there was definitely like Charizards in there. I feel like there was probably like some first edition Charizards in there, and they didn't go for this much money. So I wonder if this was just like he was willing to pay this much, or if they're actually all worth this much. Like, if I go to eBay right now and I type in holographic Charizard first edition, am I going to see like $226,000, sold items?
No. So there's a few parts of the story. So for example, the day before, funnily enough, he found a box. Because remember how he used to go into the stores and they had like the box that they came in with all like the little foil packs in there. So someone had in the back of a store like a box of unopened first gen Pokemon cards, still sealed. So he, on the day before this, Logic actually spent for $23,000 the whole box of unopened Pokemon cards. And funnily enough, in that box, there was actually Charizard card and a few other rare ones as well. So he actually has 2 Charizard cards within 24 hours, right? I don't think that one was a holo, but anyway. Yeah. So he put it on his Twitter, and this is actually pretty cool. I love this. He said, when I was a kid, I absolutely loved Pokemon, but couldn't afford the cards. I remember even trying to trade food stamps for theirs. And now as an adult who has saved every penny he has made, being able to enjoy something that I've loved since childhood, now as a grown man, is like buying back a piece of something I could never have. It's not about the material, it's about the experience. That is an authentic nerd right there. Yeah. I fucking love that statement because it speaks to me.
That is so true.
Yep. So that's awesome, man. Like, I do love when nerds make it big, right? Because when they splash on shit, you go, that's my boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. That was so well put. It's ridiculous. Like, I'm sure that resonates with just about every, like 20 and up gamer that was, or nerd that was a nerd as a child.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. So I dig it. So when you say like, is it worth 226? No, but is it worth it to him?
It is.
Yeah. And that's the real crux of it. So, and I think there might have been a big dick contest between him and Logan Paul. I saw that he was like tweeting Logan Paul during the auction, basically saying, "Hey, bro, that's me with the 183K bid, lols." You know, so and anything that fucks over Logan Paul, I support because that guy is a hard knob, man.
Was Logan Paul the guy that did the
Japanese
video?
Forest?
Yeah, the Japanese Forest, or was that?
That's him, yeah.
Yeah, that was him.
And his younger brother, what's that fuck's name?
Well, there was someone that was also in the riots that did something in the
That was
riots.
his younger brother, Jake, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
That's who I was trying to think of now. I was like, who's that fuck's name? Yeah, it's Jake, yeah. So he was a piece of shit as well.
I saw a video
what a
of him
family.
like, spitting in someone's mouth, too.
Yeah, like if you ever had to look in the dictionary, just like what does like a generic date rapist look like, the Paul brothers would have to be up there. Yeah, when watching that guy get the shit kicked out of him by that other YouTuber every year is one of my favorite things right now.
Yeah, well, yeah, I just remember like during that whole thing where he was, being, the whole Japanese Forest thing, like there was a video that surfaced of like some guy that I guess willingly wanted to be his slave for a bit or something, and like it was a video of him like just basically like verbally and emotionally abusing this kid to the point where he like literally like spit in his mouth and shit and made him swallow. It was real fucked up and weird.
Whoa.
Well, I mean, with the era of OnlyFans, I mean, I'm sure that shit is just rife everywhere right now.
Yeah, that was definitely like honestly like that was probably one of the weirdest, like most disturbing videos I've seen. That was really creepy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Now, look,
Nuts.
We've seen over the last couple of years just Star Wars in so many ways. Like the movies and series have been getting worse and worse and worse. While obviously some of the animated series have been getting better and better and better. Everyone's been saying, well, the next Star Wars project, we want it to be a return to greatness. We want to see something that's more Mandalorian-esque.
Yeah.
We're not getting that. What we are getting is Lego Star Wars. The holiday special coming out in November.
Well, talk about spitting in your mouth and making you swallow it.
Yeah.
That's sure. Well, okay, maybe. I still say there's an asterisk on this. But
look, if they go like full Robot Chicken or Lego Batman with this, maybe.
Yeah,
but
Lego Batman was great.
Yeah, given the synopsis for the story though, I don't hold much hope. Yeah, we read this just before the show. So it is bringing back some legends from the movies. So we're going to have Anthony Daniels will reprise his role as C-3PO. Billy D. Williams will be back as Lando Calrissian. And Kelly Marie Tran as Rose Tico. So they're all in on the voice cast. We've also got a few people back from the Clone Wars. So Matt Lanter will be back as Anakin Skywalker, Tom Kane as Yoda, James Arnold Taylor as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and D. Bradley Baker, who is basically all the random clone troopers that didn't really have names. So the story idea from this is interesting. So they're saying that there was a lot of energy was brought to the role, but someone asked about, well, what role is Rose Tico going to play? Because it's quite strange with the era that they have this. She wouldn't have been in prominence. So everyone's just like, well, what is this story? So talking about the character of Rose Tico, the showrunner basically said she has a really prominent role throughout this story, says War. The story works in an A-B way. So the A story is on Kashyyyk, which is obviously the home planet of the Wookiees, where Rey, Poe, Rose, and Finn are all trying to create the greatest Life Day party ever for Chewie and his family. Then the B story is Rey going off to seek knowledge at the Jedi Temple that takes her across the movies' history. So that's obviously during the different movies. And Rose's role in this whole thing is to take charge. She basically is going to be the one that saves the day in many ways. They want to make sure that they get Kelly in as Rose because she's going to be an essential part of this after working with them on episode 9. So it sounds like it's going to be very Rose-centric. It sounds like it's going to be very cheesy holiday special because the fact that they're just trying to throw the best party ever. I hope that's not too... Yeah, I don't know that I want this. I mean, we've already seen one just horrendous Christmas special from Star Wars already, if you've got a long enough memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The history is not kind to this concept poured into a holiday special.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's interesting. I actually am glad that they're doing it. So I'm on the other side of this. like the Rose move is weird because like if Rose wasn't in it, I think I would be a lot more confident that it's gonna be like funny, like Batman, like Lego Batman funny,
Mm-hmm.
which I would love. But because Rose seems to be such a prominent part of it, my hope is that they're gonna kind of poke fun at the character itself in a nice way. But like it sounds like with how heavy handed they're being with her, that it's more of almost like an apology to make up for the fact that she was, you know, brutally bullied for her character and then basically sidelined for the next movie, which, you know, we've mentioned this several times, but like, you know, getting mad at actors and actresses for like just shitty written parts is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. But yeah, like her character's so fucking terrible in this movie or in the movies that I'm just not looking forward to her being a part of anything unless they make fun of it. You know what I mean?
I would love to have been a fly on the wall during like this pitch meeting whenever they like talk to her and her agent. Like, we understand that we screwed you completely on one of the
Right.
biggest, you know, film trilogies of
Franchises,
like
yeah.
the decade, but we're gonna make it up to you. We've got this Lego holiday animated special, and you get to be the big shiny star in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And the pitch might as
come
well have just
on.
been "fuck you," the sequel. You know what I mean? Like, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really can't believe that she signed up for it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, I
Like,
bet that her phone is not ringing anymore.
I don't know. I mean, she is a good actress. I mean, that's the thing. Like, you know, considering what she was given to work with, she didn't do a bad job. It was just written so goddamn badly. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, but she did pretty well. Like, I mean, you know, they basically said, here, we want you to paint this picture because you're a great artist, but here is a shit-laden spatula instead of a paintbrush. Do what you can. You know, I think she did well with what she had. She definitely didn't deserve the bullying that she got because, you know, her performance as a standalone was fine. It was more than fine. But
Yeah, I mean, it was
just
definitely
such
the
a shit
character.
character. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely the character, not the acting. But at the same time, it's I think it's the same kind of way as like if people become synonymous to a specific character, and like this happens to actual actors and actresses more than like voiceover people, but because they have a degree of separation. But like
Yeah.
we see that all the time, where then everyone knows them so much as those characters that they're not casted anywhere else. Like Ray has already said. And so with James Boyega or whatever his name is, like, but especially Ray is having a really hard time getting any casting after Star Wars. So
Well,
I would
it's quite
imagine
funny
this
though,
would be
because
worse.
again, like they're all fine actors, and then you have
Yeah.
like, you know, pivoting to our next story, which is the Monster Hunter. We now have the full trailer. Like, I wouldn't say that Mia Jovovich or Djokovic, however you say her name, is the greatest actress on planet Earth. Yet she has a massive career. Like, she's done, you know, Fifth Element to God knows how many Resident Evils there are now. Now, you know, potentially a Monster Hunter series, I guess, depending on how this one's received. It's interesting because we were talking about how weird that trailer was last week for Monster Hunter, saying, what is this? Like, they're in a tank in an APC, and now we kind of know what the story is. It's like it's basically a Jumanji situation, that somehow they get pulled into the Monster Hunter world, and they have to now fight, like, get trained on how to fight with magic swords. So what was your takeaway, boys? What did you think of this trailer, Pico?
It, like, the initial opening, it really reminded me of like Transformers, that original Transformers movie where like they're in the desert and the scorpion transformer like comes out and attacks them. I'm not really I'm still struggling with how this is going to segue to Monster Hunters, but
Right.
I'm at least not writing it off before I see, you know, more. I'm not, you know, it doesn't appear so comically outlandish that I've completely discounted it from jump.
Yeah. For me, I just like, I mean, I was never a big like Resident Evil. Like, I love the games of Resident Evil, but I was never into like the movies and stuff like that. And so I feel like this is going to be another one of those where it's just like very generic actiony movie with like kind of a shitty game narrative put in to like, you know, obviously trying to like money grub the narrative a bit. And so I'm not like excited about this at all. I probably will watch it though, because I just want to see if it's going to be a dumpster fire or not.
Yeah, I mean the Resident Evil movies. I mean, I don't think they're all that bad. Like they're obviously not good. I'm not making an argument that they're good.
You can't.
Right. Yeah. But if you go in understanding this is low budget actiony movie,
Right.
it's like you manage your expectations and it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you need B grade
what were you gonna
movies
say?
to highlight how good A grade movies are, right?
Yeah.
And that's what the Resident and but that's the funny thing as well. Like in the trailer, I had to laugh. Like, you know, where people always like they try and put like marketing pinpoints to give you a reference point. And it's for me, I don't think they realize like where the branding sits, because from this like from the makers of Resident Evil the movie, and you're like, I don't need to watch the rest of this. Like if they made it, fuck it. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's as strong as they think it is. I maybe wouldn't have put that in the trailer.
Yeah.
You know. It'd be like,
exactly.
It'd be like saying,
not advertise it.
yeah, from the ex-girlfriend that brought you
Definitely
herpes.
not the makers of
Here
the
it
Resident
is,
Evil
gonorrhea.
series.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things,
I think
man.
she's actually made a ton of money off of that Resident Evil lineup of movies. I think she's like the highest grossing actor for like a video game based movie series in history or something.
Is that hard
they've
though?
made
I
money.
mean, most video game
about to say,
movies
like,
are
that's
fucking
not
terrible.
I understand.
Yeah.
Bar. You're talking about a low bar, dude. That's your low bar.
Yeah. That's a rough game of limbo, that one.
Yeah,
But look, I mean, now the next news I'm actually personally excited about. It's not so much nerdy as it is pop culture, but I had to put it in because I'm pumped about it. Did you boys like the Dexter series when it was on TV?
I never got into. I think I tried to watch it once, and I just never got into it.
Right.
Okay, so yes, the early seasons were very, very good.
Yeah.
The mid to end of that show got really weird, and that final season I hated.
Yeah, the whole "I'm gonna fuck my sister" storyline was certainly not my favorite. But it was what it was.
Yep.
So, it went there. It went there, girlfriend. So, yeah.
Well, because they're married in real life.
I think they divorced. I read
Did they
somewhere.
separate?
I think so. I don't know. But that whole thing was quite interesting. So, yeah, Dexter is going to be getting a 10-episode series. They called it a reboot. I don't know what to take away from it, because the synopsis and the way it's being described, like some of the original cast is coming back, but the way they're describing it is quite strange. So either way, 10 more episodes of that series with, what's his name? Michael C. Hall, I think, in the title role. If he's back as Dexter, like I think that creepiness that he had mixed with like charismatic and calculating, like everything about that character was pretty great. And I think he has that sort of anti-hero, villain, hero all in one package. Like the fact he can sort of pivot so quickly. It was one of the reasons I loved that whole story. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. He nailed that role. It was like it was made for him. It was fantastic.
What was that show that he was in before that? Was it called Nip Tuck? Or what was the one? No, what was the one where like it was all centered around the morgue or mortuary, the funeral home? What was that one called that he was in?
6 Feet Under.
6 Feet Under, that's the one. Was he in Nip Tuck as
On
well?
HBO.
I feel like he was in both. I don't know. I didn't watch either, to be fair. But I heard that he was pretty great in that too.
Yeah, 6 Feet Under. I mean, I don't think that's held up well. But back in the day, like that was, everybody loved that series. I don't think it was very long. It was like a season or two.
Right. Ready for a nerd test, boys?
No.
So when it comes to nerddom, there are usually two camps that people fall into. And true nerds are in both, but some are obviously very die-hard one way or the other. All three of us are Star Wars fans to a point, depending on the movie. Are you Star Trek fans, though?
I am of the very original series.
I agree. Same here.
Yep. I not usually, but there are certain episodes or movies, whatever, that have been pretty good. But one thing that I actually got sucked into pretty hard was Star Trek Discovery, the series over the last couple of years from I can't remember which network it's on, but I know it's predominantly on Netflix. Did you guys catch any of that?
I
It's on
haven't.
Netflix.
Yeah, Star Trek Discovery.
Discovery isn't the new one with Michael, right?
It is, yes.
Yeah, it is.
It is? Oh, okay. For me, that's on Amazon, not Netflix.
All right, so it's on Amazon here in the Middle East. So yeah, either way, I know that's not the original source. I think it's a network show somewhere, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
so.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I've watched actually a decent bit of this because my dad is really into Star Trek and he's been watching it, but I thought it was good. It lacked the charm of the original, but continue on with what you were saying.
So it's been the first one in a long time that I actually quite liked, because for me it's more Mass Effect sort of vibe than it is because Star Trek for me, because it's so realistically it's about trying to be as politically diplomatic as possible, and sometimes that's fun, sometimes it's a bit just shoot already. But this has a much more of a balance where they sort of do we need to be the best versions of humanity and need to make peace, for every now and again they still fuck shit up. So yeah, it's been a good mix. So season 3 trailer just came out, and I was always wondering how they were going to do this, because these characters were interacting with major characters from the original storylines from Star Wars, from Star Trek. And you're like, how are they going to write them out? Because surely they would be referenced more, or you would see them more. This vessel and this crew would have to exist. And they dealt with that at the end of season 2. And now these guys, I won't spoil how they got there, but they are now thousands of years into the future. So they're basically in their own thing in an unknown universe, which I think is probably the coolest idea for a Star Trek vessel, because obviously now it's they don't have nav systems, they don't have this, they don't have that. They're literally tracking everything down from scratch, and they're dealing with peoples. They have no idea who they are, even humans. So I like the idea of where this could go for season 3, which is coming over in the next month or so. Well, I think it started now, actually. Episode 1's out now.
Let me ask you this real quick. This is just for my knowledge.
Yeah.
Without giving anything away. So the technology that they had learned about, probably mid-season 1, is that what brought them into the future?
Yes. The season 2 storyline. How much of season 2 have you watched?
Well, I don't know overall how far I got, so I don't know when season 2 started. And
are you aware that the Enterprise is in season 2?
No. I last one I saw is the switch to the other dimension where there's evil people.
Okay. Yeah, I think you'll like season 2. Yeah, it is something very specific that is very, very time travel centric, and also has a strong tie to Michael. So they have this. Right. In the early seasons, there's this time jumping. They don't know it's time jumping at the time. They know there's tachyon particles, so they're assuming time is part of it. But basically, there's this person in a mecha suit that seems to appear and fire off this giant red flare. And they're noticing a pattern that this tends to happen right when something massive and fucked up's about to happen to a particular world, right? Okay. And it's them basically following this pattern and trying to figure out who is this person,
who is this thing,
why do they keep guiding us to these events, so on and so forth. And then you find out, exactly who was doing this and the why. And it's interesting. I thought it was definitely one of the stronger things.
You piqued my interest in it again.
Season 2 was good. Yeah, I mean, it's not the greatest TV show I've ever seen, but it was certainly for Star Trek. It was more than enough to hook me in, because it had a lot more of, as I said, it definitely felt a bit Mass Effect-y. It felt a bit Babylon 5, because they were injecting a bit more humor into it, which I think Star Trek sometimes is a bit too far up its own ass for seriousness.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
So that was good, to see a little bit more comedy and some of the characters, vibing that way, and, exploring some of those side characters as well in a way that wasn't too, let's do an episode where it's all about, someone's tragic backstory. There certainly were some of those, but they were done quite well. So no, I really enjoyed it. So yeah, season 3, with that trailer especially, seeing this setting, because all you saw was them jump, and you knew they went somewhere at the end of the last season, but you didn't know where, what, or whatever. And now getting an idea of that they're truly alone where they are is, I think, the perfect setting for them to build a universe of their own now. They're not bound by anything. Now they can fucking go buck wild. They can invent whatever they want. So it's cool.
Right.
All right. Now, Amazon's been making some moves in the pop culture scene recently, basically trying to buy out some movie projects that, had been financed, in some cases made, but not quite finalized. So Borat was the first one. So we know that that's coming out very shortly on October 23rd. I still don't know what that's going to be. But we already saw the first lawsuit put against Sacha Baron Cohen this week. So no doubt it's going to be fucking awesome, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, the other thing that they purchased this week was Coming to America 2. Do you guys see the original of this many, 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 many years ago? Eddie Murphy?
Yep.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
Bro, fucking great movie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie at his best in this whole series.
Trading Places. Do you guys see Trading Places?
Absolutely. Yeah. If it was Eddie Murphy in the 80s and 90s, chances are I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, my parents made it a point for me to watch those two movies. So
that's pretty interesting because there's boobs in Trading Places.
Yeah, I didn't see it whenever I was super young, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they
there's boobs in the opening scene of Coming to America too. Now I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I remember for sure for Coming to America, they made me I had to leave the room during that part. But
yeah, that's right, because she was washing his penis. The royal penis is clean, Your Highness.
Yeah, I actually don't even remember that part, so I definitely.
How do you not remember
really,
that part?
dude? That was in my spank bank for years as a young man. Before the internet and porn, man, little moments like that made a teenager's life back then. Fucking hell. Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
absolutely.
This is crazy that this is happening. Do we know any details about it? Is he going to be playing a whole bunch of characters again? Or
yeah, apparently they're going to be doing a lot of that, which is awesome because I want to see cool. I want to see Eddie Murphy back in a big way because he's such a talented guy. He's truly funny. They just went so far down the whole G-rated thing, and obviously he had his, little controversial moment in his time where he sort of, left the limelight. But now's the time, man. I still haven't seen that.
Moment?
We got caught with the transsexual escort in the back of a car.
What?
Yeah. That was many years ago.
I had no idea.
Oh, really?
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons why he left the limelight. There was that, and then obviously a string of very shit movies afterwards. So.
Fuck. Okay.
Yeah, that was back
the
in the day.
one thing I just don't want to see is there's Coming to America 1. It had a lot of non-PC, but in a fun kind of way. Yeah. I don't want to see a watered down, politically correct Coming to America 2 movie.
Same.
I don't think we would. I don't think it would be made if it was like that. Otherwise, it would be a disgrace to the show's memory.
Because you can have a lot of fun with it too. I have no doubt in my mind there's going to be a few Black Lives Matter beats. I think they're going to make some points and show that, like they did in Coming to America, that, it's him experiencing racism for the first time, as an American, American perceived black man. So I think that was definitely a story that needed to be told. And I think they'll continue a little bit on that. But I think it's one of those things that certain parts of Black Lives Matter, I think we need to joke about, because there are certain parts of what that has now become with the extremists that are in there. There's definitely so much fodder for comedy if you're willing to laugh at it. But shit. 2020, anything in that sphere, you're not allowed to poke fun at the ridiculousness of anything in there.
It's real tricky.
Oh, mate. all the influences during Black Lives Matter was my favorite thing. The ones that would pull up in a Rolls, get out of the car, walk up to a guy that was boarding up a store and say, "Hey mate, can I borrow your drill so I can take a quick photo with my boyfriend here, make it look like we're helping you rebuild the store."
Yeah.
And all that sort of just gross behavior. It's can we please just acknowledge how fucking ridiculous the current apocalypse is? So
yeah, there was a lot of really icky shit going on at that point.
Just that whole capitalist things. I'm sure if OnlyFans was probably a little bit further months on, I'm sure there would have been people filming me getting a blowjob mid protest. Fucking crazy.
Would watch. Have to
would
see
watch.
how that went.
Yeah,
would watch. I'd have to see how that went down.
Literally went down. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Now, speaking of sequel/prequels, Furiosa, which is the Mad Max prequel, which is supposed to give a bit more of an origin story as to the character that Charlize Theron played in Mad Max with Tom Hardy. So it's going back a little bit forward in time. So they've been doing a lot of casting this week. So I know Charlize Theron was pretty pissed off that, they've gone for the 2020 model. They've traded her in for a newie. She's pretty pissed off about that, but they've done what they've done. So Anna Taylor-Joy is going to be taking over. Oh, sorry. Yes. So, yeah, we have Taylor-Joy will be playing the title role as the young version of Furiosa. We have Chris Hemsworth is going to be joining as one of the side characters. And also Yahya Abdul-Mateen II as well. So they've all been cast in this movie at this stage. So it's still going to be George Miller is directing, as was the last guy for, what was that? I think it was his production company had something to do with Fury Road back in the day as well. So, yeah, what this script ends up being will be interesting. But, yeah, they're saying in the film, she's a war captain under the cruel leader, Immortan Joe, but turns against him in order to free Joe's concubines. Then forms an alliance with Max, portrayed by Tom Hardy. So that was obviously the one we've already seen. As to what they're doing with the prequel, I don't know. So, yeah.
Yeah. For me, and I know this probably sounds weird because I am a big fan of Borderlands, but, like, I am not a fan of Mad Max. Like, I'm not a big car chase guy, and like that's what that movie's all about, is just like endless car chases. Yeah. And so that's like my least favorite part of any movie. So for me, it's just like, and the post-apocalyptic thing, like that post-apocalyptic is just not like my zone to watch. So yeah, I don't really care about this, but I thought that Charlize Theron like fucking slayed the role at least.
She did. Yeah.
So I am surprised that they're not putting her in this. Yeah, she's a goddess of an actress, dude. Yeah. There's some, I mean, and like she's been in some shit movies too, but there's just some actors and actresses that can, like, no matter what happens, you can't kill them and they're always going to be big movie card draws. You know what I mean? She's definitely one of them.
Oh, I mean, she made what, Mighty Joe Young? That movie was amazing because she was in it.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that was her.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, you're right. Fuck.
Well, my favorite movie that she's in, admittedly, she doesn't get too much to work with. It's actually not a great role for her. But she obviously provided a lot of the emotional weight that sort of that movie needed, which was The Devil's Advocate. Keanu Reeves, Al Pacino, Charlize Theron. Have you seen that, Hebrew?
Yep. I have, actually.
Bro, that movie is awesome. And some of my favorite Pacino rants as well, as the devil. Oh my god. Fucking love that movie, dude.
Have you guys...
That's a dark-ass movie.
Fuck yeah.
Have you guys... This is a bit more modern, but have you guys seen the one with her and Seth Rogen? Like, she's president or aspiring to be president?
No, I haven't seen that one yet. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
That was actually really good.
I think I have seen that, yeah.
Yeah, that was actually, I actually really enjoyed that one. It's kind of like a rom-com, but it was definitely more comedy, but it was really good. And also, this is a weird segue. I promise we'll get right back to this. But speaking of Seth Rogen, just because I have to mention it because it was so good, but like on HBO Max, they have this movie from Seth Rogen called American Pickle. Have you guys seen it?
No.
Okay. It's actually a fucking great movie. It's about Seth Rogen, basically, like it's him playing two different characters. Like, so the first one is this guy from like the 1960s or something. He was a super poor person in like Eastern Europe, and like dirt poor with his wife, and he was doing all he could to try to save up money to like try to take care of her, and he worked in a pickle factory, like smashing rats, and then he fell into like the pickle brine, and it ended up preserving him for like 100 years or something,
and he becomes Pickle Rick.
And then yeah, pretty much. And then he ends up like waking up in modern day, and his last living relative, his like great grandson is Seth Rogen as well. And it's like this really funny like parallel between these characters, and it's fucking great. And I just wanted to mention it just because like it deserves to be seen more than I'm sure it is being seen. If you have HBO Max, please watch that movie because it's actually like really fucking good.
Sounds like a 2020 remake of Encino Man to me.
I've
It
never
does.
seen that movie, so I don't know.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Piker? You're laughing.
Pauly
so-
Shore is highly underrated. Where's that guy been?
Wherever he is, it's exactly where he's supposed to fucking be, and he can stay there because that guy could fuck off. Oh man, the later half of his career, especially. Yeah. All right. Now this is one. I don't know if you guys read the books or watched season 1 of this. His Dark Materials. Did you watch this, or the Golden Compass? Some people might call it.
Yep. I watched this. My girlfriend and I watched this one together. It was interesting. I didn't even know that it was a book series until you just said something. So it was a book series before?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, His Dark Materials was the book series. The first book being the Golden Compass. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we watched the show just because we saw it being amped up, and we we're like, all right, we'll give it a shot. And yeah, I actually I enjoyed it. The end, like the very last episode, was a little odd. But yeah, it was pretty good. I'm not gonna say it's fucking great because I don't think it was, but yeah,
it has a polar bear wearing sick ass armor. How the fuck can you not be into this show, dude?
Well, that part was fucking cool. Like,
yeah, he's
honestly,
one of the
like
coolest
the bear
guys, yeah.
was the best part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have
you
was
seen this
also
podcast?
drunk all the time.
No, I haven't seen it, but I somehow it was completely off my radar. Watching the trailer for season 2, I need to put it on my list and circle back on it.
So the reason that season 2 trailer is so awesome is that this part of the books has one of my favorite devices of any fantasy novel that I ever read. I'm not saying that this is one of the greatest fantasy series I ever read. It was good. And it is the knife that you saw in that trailer. All right. So that knife allows people to literally cut a hole between the fabric of dimensions. So you literally, with this knife, you slash it, and then you can basically walk through wherever you are in this reality into the reality next door. And it was just such a cool idea that it really tied everything that they're about to do together. You probably already picked up on this. The whole series was really built around this guy's hatred of religion, especially Christianity.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, symbolism there, and obviously the magisterium is the Catholic Church, and so. But other than that, I mean, there's magic, there's little Pokemon-y style familiars that people have, which obviously you're now learning is realistically offshoots of people's souls. Or representations thereof. So it's just a cool idea. And then, armored polar bears, man. Fuck yeah.
The armored polar bear was my favorite part, especially whenever he was drunk as shit. Like that was
which he always was. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So let me ask you. So you watched the series then, I assume then, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as someone that read the books, how did the series hold up?
Yeah, reasonably well. I mean, obviously, you can never nail the book, but I think the casting has been pretty great so far. I think this is about all of them. They've nailed it. I love the fact that they're bringing in the actor who played Moriarty in the BBC Sherlock series, because the role that he's about to play, I won't spoil it for you now, but he is fucking perfect for that as well. So, the cast is amazing. Like the young lass, I can never remember her name, from Logan, who plays the main character. She's just incredible. She's going to have one hell of a career that's going to span decades. She's amazing.
And then McAvoy is always fucking God mode acting. So.
And I love, I guess I don't want to spoil it, but I love the fact that he is playing this character because he doesn't get to do that very often. And I think he has a strong suit there that we're going to see a lot more of. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, he's done a couple of movies where he's got to really show off his acting chops. Like, there was that one, I forgot which one it was now, but it was like the one where he played like a bunch of different characters with personalities.
Split.
Split. Yeah, that's right. That was really interesting to watch. But like, there was also another one where he played like a psycho, super corrupt cop, which was crazy. But he's such a fucking talented actor. It's actually ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah, whenever I like, that was the thing that first drew me to this series, was just that I saw James McAvoy and I was like, all right, I'm in for it. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, I loved how he acted just within the first movie. Whenever he was talking to the girl for the first time, basically, I was just like, "Fuck, dude, this guy is such an interesting character already." You can tell. So, Cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely recommend that. Season 2 trailer's out now, and it will be going live on November 17th. In no shit Sherlock news this week, Disney Plus came out and went, so the streaming thing's pretty good. We think we're going to do more of that. So they're basically announcing that, a lot of their theatrical projects, they're going to be really scaling back over the coming years, and they're going to be really pivoting a lot further into streaming. So they've been laying off jobs like it's going out of fashion. So I think they're realizing that, look, there's a huge appetite for this. They've got is it 100 million subscribers or something ridiculously high for Disney Plus already? And it's not even released worldwide yet. So I think they're seeing the big bucks on there. I think they've now seen with Mulan that they can probably charge a premium. I think $30 they probably went, but in saying that, they haven't really tested nerds yet, have they? Like, if they said you can have Black Widow today for $30, would you pay it?
I'd do that.
I'd do it.
Fuck yeah, I would. But I've not had a Marvel movie all goddamn year. I'd pay $50, right? Because I need that fix, bro. It's movie cocaine to me at this point.
Even if they charged $100, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to get a few of my friends to come over. We're paying it.
Yeah, which is quite funny because we're leaning into the guy that wrote the original Watchmen comics came out this week shitting hard on Marvel and DC movies, saying that it's infantilizing the modern generation, basically saying that we're all becoming R-words because of these movies. And it's like, bro, have you seen the fucking Watchmen movie? I asked actually on Twitter, I said, does anyone know this guy's Venmo? I want to send him $15 for Amazon Prime so we can watch The Boys to see how he should have fucking done Watchmen the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And if Baldur's Gate opening sequence hasn't told us that he could have done the giant squid after all, I don't know what does. But I don't think anyone's surprised by this. Disney Plus, the home environment, especially with the uncertainty in the next few years. They say they're not reacting to COVID. I think I believe them. I think this is a move that was going to come eventually anyway because, the whole movie experience is great, but the world's kind of moving past it in a lot of ways. And it's going to be interesting to see how many survive. I heard AMC cinemas in the US, they reckon they've got enough cash to get them through to maybe January. And then if everything's not open, they're fucked forever. So,
yeah. A little bit of a tangent. I really love and I really miss going to the movie theater and seeing a movie. I've talked about it with my wife a lot, with COVID and everything. That is something I sincerely miss. I really enjoy just that process, that experience. I love cinema. I love movies. I will be devastated if movie theaters close down, if my son and my kids, my daughter grow up not knowing what it was like to go to a movie theater and see a movie, if it's all just delivered in our home. So the world's definitely changing, but I miss that experience.
So let me ask you this question, because this is a really interesting thing, I think, personally. What is it about the movie experience you loved, specifically?
So often when you're watching a movie at home, your phone is on or somebody calls or, somebody needs this or somebody needs that. It's rarely an uninterrupted experience. When you go to the movies, especially for a big premiere, you're going to see, Endgame, you're going to see a Star Wars movie. There's been a lot of build up to it. And you go into this theater with this amazing sound and nothing else interferes with your experience in that movie for that 2.5-3 hour time period. You are just transported into the movie experience that you're watching for that period of time.
How much of it is the crowd?
Often
are they a positive or a negative usually, the crowd for you?
Very rarely is there ever somebody who's talking over important parts or being a dick or distracting. I can count probably on one hand the number of times where I've even noticed the audience with a lot of the movies that I go to in a negative way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you watched a movie yet? And there's very few of them that are done well, but there's a couple now. Have you been in a virtual cinema in virtual reality yet?
I've done 3D. I don't think I've done virtual reality.
So I was really, really surprised and blown away how immersive that experience is. And I think now that I've done it, I think that if they really lean into that technology and they have the virtual cinema experience where basically they layer the surround sound through your headset the way they would do in a cinema, especially with the extra bass like they tend to do, and they really sort of put the screen framing the right way, so it is like taking up most of your vision, I think you'll be genuinely surprised how much of that experience you do get. Obviously, you're not going to be able to look down to your kid and see the look on their face of just awe and as they're seeing, a movie for the first time. And I think that's something that would be a shame for us to lose. But for a personal experience, like of you getting that, being overwhelmed in the senses by what you're seeing, I think the technology is there to replace it. I really do. Obviously, it's not as in everyone's bedroom as it is right now because VR has still got a very high cost barrier to entry.
Right.
But, let's say that they figure out Google Cardboard or one of those really lo-fi solutions that uses your phone and a headset, and they figure out the right way to do that with a good pair of surround sound headphones, which are pretty cheap now. I think maybe you can get 90% of what you're looking for. So, yeah, I think that kind of model, I think, is done because I think people are going to look at that and just go, well, there's the getting there, there's the parking money, there's the snack bar money, there's the overpriced tickets themselves in many cases. And when you add all that up, like going out on a date to the movies in many cases, like you're dropping $100. Whereas, $15 a month, you can watch that movie and, dozens of others. So I just don't know how they make that competitive again. Otherwise, they go the other way. And I think you make movies a premium experience. Maybe there's less people in there. It's more comfortable. You're wearing the suit like the old days, the gold class type experience,
So I was going to say, so that is, first of all, I know this is going to be subjective, and I know this is going to sound like, douchey of me, but so where I live, there is a super, super, super fancy theater. And that's where me and my family, every single weekend, at least me and my dad would go see a movie together at that theater, every single weekend. So, and it was a lot of fun because it was expensive as balls, I'll say, but I don't know, it was something about it was like a male spa almost, right. Or at least the closest experience that I'll ever have of a spa, because I was I get there, I have these really nice leather massage chairs that you have, and you have your own individual waiter and
a young lady that says the royal penis is clean, your highness.
Exactly. But you have amazing food and stuff like that, and it's very distanced out, it's because I do having mass crowd reaction, for big movies. I do having that, but me and my girlfriend went there a lot as well, and it made for a really fun date night. And so for lots of wine and stuff like that, and mixed drinks, specialty cocktails, I don't know, because of that, it was expensive, but it was such a nice experience. I hope that experience is never gone. So if it becomes a premium experience, like what you mentioned too, I'd be okay with that. I think that'd be the best of both worlds for me, because it would also be nice to just be able to access it from your home if you want as well, especially for some movies that you don't care about too much, so.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, we'll see, but it is a very interesting time, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, because there has been so few movies out this year, there hasn't really been much that the SJWs can complain about the casting. But now they've been given their first chance of the year. That Gal Gadot is getting absolutely pumped from all of the SJW wannabes for being cast in the role of Cleopatra. So obviously the case is being made by quite a few folks that this role should have gone to an Egyptian woman, and the fact that it's gone to someone of a different Middle Eastern origin is a bit of a slap in the face. I personally think that she would be wonderful as Cleopatra, and I don't understand how people acting outside of their range is now a racial insult. I don't personally understand it, because if you can pretend to be something that you're not, isn't that kind of the point of acting?
Yeah, and I think it's long. I think that there are definitely some barriers there, but this is in the right area. You know what I mean? I'm not like a huge fan of like we don't see like blackface or anything anymore, thank God. But you know, so like, but this is much more like, you know, adjacent to what or you know what the person actually was. So I think that this is fair enough. But yeah, so I'm glad that she's casted. I think she's a great actress. So I think this will be amazing. So I'm not a part of that group that's, you know, has a problem with it. That's for sure.
I mean, we've come a very long way from Elizabeth Taylor playing Cleopatra. So,
right.
like, I think we can take a minute and just, you know, appreciate that. But I think people lose sight often in cinema. Star power is a very real thing.
Yep.
You know, star power makes a movie as much as good writing for an unknown character, you know, is important. You need name recognition when it comes to selling movies and getting people to watch them. You could have a Egyptian actress who I'm sure is extremely talented and amazing and would do a great job, but no one would know who she was, and that wouldn't motivate them to see the movie, versus someone that is a star, that has name recognition, that is also an amazing actress that you want to then go see and spend money to see.
Yeah. And she's got bankability in that sphere too, because she's played obviously she's ridiculously attractive, which obviously Cleopatra was known for, and she's badass as hell as Wonder Woman. So I mean, having that Wonder Woman pull is a big deal. And look, I mean, it's not like this is the first thing that's happened either. Like, I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger was cast in so many things that made zero sense for a guy with that accent and that build to be in, but he was just the biggest guy on the planet at that stage, right? So, yeah, I mean, this happens all the time. I mean, look, as an Australian, do you see me kicking off because Americans play us all the fucking time with the worst accents I've ever heard? I'll give you shit for it, but I'm not going to claim that should have gone to a fucking Australian because, you know, you guys let Hugh Jackman be Wolverine, and that was great. You know?
Yeah.
The Canadians weren't going, he's supposed to be Canadian, eh? You know, they didn't give a shit because they're polite.
Yeah.
You know, they're actually good people, so...
Of course.
Yeah, this is just a weird thing. I mean, I think the last time I saw this kind of a reaction was, there's two of them. There was Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One. People lost their fucking mind when they made that a white chick. Yeah. And the other one was Scarlett Johansson in Ghost in the Shell. They said that should have gone to a Japanese actress. Which, do you know what? For that one, I kind of agree. In the sense that I think that there are so many wonderful Japanese actresses that would have been fucking perfect for that role. That I think that one, we probably could have localized it a bit more. But, you know, but we see the reverse happen all the time where, you know, we're seeing male casts being redone as female, or, you know, white roles become black roles. Like, it's, you know, it's an interesting take. I love seeing that kind of thing when they do that, but I don't understand why we only get upset about certain ones and not others. It's a weird.
I think ones that have like some historical significance are measured at a different scale.
Oh, if
but
they're
like
real people,
yeah, but like this one is definitely like I said, like there's an area of acceptability here, and she's definitely in it. And no matter what, in this day and age, you will never please everybody, so it doesn't matter.
Piker, tell me about the iPhone that's coming up.
Well, speaking about pleasing everyone, so the new iPhone was announced by Apple just this past week, and talk about everything getting thinner, faster, and stronger. It's kind of the mode that they're operating in. So the big takeaway was that 5G is coming to the Apple iPhone, and I know Verizon has been quick to announce on the heels of that they're doubling down and expanding their 5G network coverage to support that as well. I'm not as hip and savvy on a lot of the specifics of 5G. I know that under the 5G umbrella, there are a few different speeds that can run on, and Apple's hardware is supporting the faster versions of that. So that is definitely good news, you know, going forward and looking at that. In terms of the specific on the iPhone, going a little bit smaller. So stepping back from kind of the gigantic iPhone series that we have now, stepping away from the rounded and beveled edges, going to a more squared off 90-degree angle edge. with your aluminum case that you're going to be sure and drop and chip and knock off of everything around you. The one thing that I'm really excited about, and you guys probably don't care, but graphics and me and what I do and photography, I love. You're going to be able to shoot raw images with this version of the iPhone. Does raw images mean anything to either of you guys?
Zero.
Okay.
Only because of my DSLR, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, being able to shoot raw with this from a photographer standpoint, it's just it's a wet dream. And then the interesting thing that I think you'll like too is that they're going to have a LiDAR sensor in them, which is apparently really important for augmented AR and VR.
It is.
It's going to support, a lot of VR compatibility. They're going to be doing things with like 3D depth mapping and, height. And I think also the thing that most people will interface the most with when it comes to that LiDAR sensor is shooting things in the dark. So when it's, nighttime in your bedroom and you need to take that perfect dick pic, you'll be able to have that amazing resolution, needed to capture everything in its full glory.
Yeah, I want to see every vein, motherfucker. That's it. Look, I have one concern. Won't 5G give me coronavirus though?
Just don't hold it close to your head. Put it on speaker and hold it out for you.
Burn the towers down. Fucking morons, honestly.
Wait, is that actually awesome. Someone's concern? Is that actually like people?
Oh, that's a whole
Bro,
conspiracy
where have you
theory.
been? People are burning the 5G towers. Like all these conspiracy
Yeah.
nuts have been setting them on fire in the UK, the US, Australia, because they honestly believe this QAnon bullshit that the coronavirus and 5G is all a conspiracy that's linked with Bill Gates, and the coronavirus is a facade that they've given to us, and that 5G is going to be the transmission network, and then the vaccine, we're all going to be chipped, and that's how they're going to track us. So they've given us this disease, and they're going to give us the cure for the disease, and that's going to be able to how they take control of our minds, bro. So burn it down is the summary of the story. Yeah. Good fucking times. I do have one concern as a gamer with this, is the hard edges. Like the rounded edges when you're playing the game in landscape mode, like when you're on your mobile phone, especially the larger ones, like when you're more sort of tablet-y, is that where you have your hands, like you're kind of using those round edges in the pads between your thumb and your forefinger. I do worry that if they go back to the square edges, that could be quite uncomfortable if you're playing like, long periods of mobile games, which with things like Wild Rift, we're going to talk about in a little while, coming out, that's a possibility.
Yeah, I definitely think that's very valid.
Get a case.
Yeah,
Sure.
get a case.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing is like one of the big motivating factors for differentiating and changing sort of the body design from iPhone version, to the next, really comes down to an aesthetic one that people like to show off that they have the latest and greatest piece of tech, especially in Asia. That I saw and read a couple articles that the design for the new iPhone was highly influenced by Asian markets and the consumers there, and wanting to have a visual identification that this is new and different from the existing iPhone aesthetic. So I think it's definitely something, they're changing it, not necessarily for a comfort or a utilization standpoint, but more from, an aesthetic and I have the latest and greatest model in my hand, be jealous of me and subscribe to my OnlyFans account.
Yeah. Thank you for that segue too, because that was perfect. Did you guys read this the next article in the show notes?
No, I've not.
Okay.
I actually want you to tell me about
so
it.
Nintendo is notorious for, if anyone tries to copy or make their own love letter video game to Pokemon or Smash Brothers, they will shut it down, take the best parts of it, make it themselves, and then sue the shit out of everyone involved. Like they've been the most protective of their IP of anyone in the video game industry for the longest time. In the last 4 or 5 years, especially, like the way they went after all these emulator companies when they were, or emulator devs when they were, looking at releasing the Nintendo Classic and the Super Nintendo Classic, it was crazy. What I've never seen them do is go after a influencer, which is exactly what they've done. So there is a Twitch streamer She's a TikToker. She has an OnlyFans. Her name is was Poke Princess. She has around 2 million followers, and she got the shit suit out of her by Nintendo. So she is covered in tattoos, many of them Pokemon. A lot of her merch has like Pokeballs and stuff like that on it. And she just basically said that, look, I'm young, I'm dumb. When I made this stuff, obviously these are the things that I love, and it was very heavily influenced by Nintendo. I didn't think that, they would be concerned by me doing this, so they've made her change her name. They have sued her for her profits of all the merchandise that she has sold, that she has to hand over to them. She's now going to be called Digital Princess. Obviously now she's going to lean harder into the OnlyFans side of things, by the sounds of it, to kind of make up for a bit of that cash. But
I bet that's going to be really easy now. I bet she got shit tons of subs.
Yeah, and a lot of like simp sympathy as well, because like all of boys will be like, oh no, she's going to need more money now. I'll do the right and honorable thing by paying money to see her boobs. That's the gentleman that I am. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. You'll bite the bullet.
I fucking love simp logic. It's the greatest. Yeah, I am a gentleman. Show me your vag. Yeah. And then anyway, I could go on a massive tangent on that. So yeah, that was a fun little story of the week. So she's having to rebrand so hard, but it just goes to show, man,
for her. That does suck.
I will be curious to see actually like how many subs she's gone up in that period of time. I think you literally cannot buy notoriety like this. Her name will be everywhere now, dude.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, like, she's probably very talented. I don't know anything about her, but it's a hell of a lot easier to rebrand and pivot when you got boobs. I tell you, like, there's no way a lot of male influencers could go through a transition like this. It'd be career ending. There's a handful. Like Ninja probably could. I'd say Dr. Disrespect probably could, but there's not many. Whereas average lard-breasted Jennifer on Twitch, man, it's amazing how you're just gonna sit behind a microphone and just look seductively while you make noises. It's just crazy. I'm jealous. This is the point of the story.
I just imagine that she's going to be like profiting from this whole thing.
Oh yeah,
overall.
I think that it's basically the way she would look at it, and it'd be interesting to see how it goes from a taxation point of view. Like, could she write off this whole thing as an advertising expense? I'm willing to bet you could probably make a case.
That would be some fucking tax loopholes there.
If Trump can pay $750 in tax, go fuck yourself. There's no way. I reckon this chick could do it. Right? I'm not advertising for tax fraud, but tell me that you couldn't make a business case to say, hey, this was all a targeted campaign and we work with Nintendo. Dude, you could sell that story. Yep.
Obviously, the loopholes exist. You just have to find them.
They shouldn't, but I'll guarantee that they do.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then like the legal fees, all of it. Just because. Yeah. Anyway, fun times. I think it's time we talk about some games, though. It's been lots of cool shit in the news, but it's time for the big stuff. The PS5 UI reveal. Did you get a chance to watch it as well, Pico?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you think?
It's one of those things that I think it's difficult to judge until you're actually interfacing with it, because the UI was very simplified in terms of the main menu. The real small icons at the bottom of the screen. It didn't seem like anything was missing, but again, I think it's difficult to judge before you are interfacing with it. I do a lot of UI design like professionally, so I kind of pay attention to a lot of those details. But one of the things that I noticed right off the bat with the cards, like the game cards that they demoed in that video, was that they're going to have some that when you're playing a game, some games that are like PlayStation Plus, you can get help videos right within that game. And I thought, RIP content creators. Like, they're going to control the help videos that people watch for these games. And I mean, they're just going to destroy content creators.
I think it's going to be so... We talked about this when we were watching it too, Heber and I. That basically, not so much from the content creator thing, but more so that there's a lot of features that they showcased in that UI that are only going to work on very first party, like deep games with Sony.
Yes.
Because no developer is going to go through all the bullshit hoops when they know that some dickhead content creator like us will do it for free. You know what I mean? So I think that Sackboy was a big showcaser to say this is what you could do, but I cannot see most third-party developers giving a shit. And I think that's a feature we're not going to see very often. And just because I don't think there's an appetite for it either. I think that the ability to share screen with your friends, so you can say, "Hey man, let me show you how to make that jump. Let me show you where that chest is," because you can't tell from what I'm describing you. Let me just put me in the little capture, and I'll show you on my screen. That's cool as fuck. But the other part of it,
by hand all the time.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
When we play Avengers,
no problems.
Yeah.
So that sort of stuff I think is really cool. But the hand-holdy little help videos, it's a nice, fun little feature to say, well, this is where it is. And I said that in Genshin for finding all the little collectibles, stuff like that would be pretty good. But yeah, I just don't think it's going to be a thing. The amount of work you have to put in, the amount of hours that you need to put in as a dev, I mean, look at things like we talked about with Avengers. I mean, they've barely got the framework of a video game. You think those guys are going to go through and put all those ones and zeros on this is how you solve every individual puzzle? Fuck off. No way.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be like very much be a situation where like you're going to be able to pull up Twitch or YouTube, have the screen, in the small version in one of the corners of your screen, and while you do it, and then you can bring up your YouTube or Twitch help video or something like that. Like, I think that's where that feature is really going to be coming in handy.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see actually if they actually guide like the help feature to specific channels. Like if they have a partnership deal saying, okay, we partnered up with Ninja, so what's going to happen for each of these puzzles? Once we know he's done a video, we're going to flick it out to him. Like there's certainly the possibility that things like that will become a thing for sure.
Yeah, they definitely could aim it, but I am betting that at least it's going to be like the apps themselves, because like right now on PlayStation 4, like you have a YouTube app, you have Twitch app, like So I know that at least you're just going to have those where it's going to work the same exact way as just landing on a homepage of YouTube. Yeah, but it will be interesting since they do have that dashboard that they advertised for the app. Each app they said is going to have their own dashboard. So what is popping up as the advertisements there for the app in the dashboard without clicking on the app yet, that will be interesting to see what they decide to pull from.
True.
Because that will be selective. So yeah.
Very true.
Interesting stuff.
Overall thoughts, like it, love it, compared to PS4?
I'm with Pike on this one. Like I need to, it looked interesting. I think it looks better overall. I don't think it didn't look as good as I thought it was going to be. So I need to feel it. Yeah, I just need to feel it. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. It looks slick. I mean, there's a couple of things that weren't in that video that I wanted to see in play, like the multi idle state games. So like how easy is it to pivot from one game to the next? Like does it truly, idle it? Does it close some features? Just watching, does that make the UI more clunky if you have multiple games on idle? How many games can you idle at one point in time? Like a lot of those details aren't really fleshed out in there. Where with the Xbox, we know a lot more about those features and we've seen it in action. So I mean, I think it looks slick in a lot of ways. I think there's a lot of junk. I'm hoping for the ability to customize this. That I want to be able to hide a lot of that shit when I don't want to see it. And I hope they let me do that. I have a feeling, looking at the way some of those panels look, and we've seen this a little bit on PS4 in the last couple of months. I don't know if you guys have been watching this, that like I'll go in to play a game and then all of a sudden where the game was, there's like a big icon for a game that's out at the moment that's their big feature. Or there's a big icon in that place that looks like a downloaded game that is for a sale. And I think they're going to push out ads. I think they're going to push out a lot of ads on us using this. They're going to use our desktops to make money. I think that's going to be a thing.
Would I be surprised by that? No. But I'll be curious to see how deep they go with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, Xbox's thingo this week was a lot more interesting with what they were showing off. The shit that you want to know, the shit that you want to see. So they had a bit of a showcase, showed off a lot of really cool stuff. But the takeaway for me was this. They showed the load times between the current gen, like premium model for the Xbox One X versus the new Xbox that's coming out. They showed the load times for a lot of big games out there at the moment to show how much better, how much faster. So Gears of War 5, which is obviously optimized for Microsoft anyway, was 28 seconds load time on the Xbox One X, 5 seconds on the new Xbox.
Impressive as fuck, dude. Just the idea of having a game load in 5 seconds is insane to me.
Well, especially with some of the games that have a lot of bloat. So, I mean, Destiny 2 is notorious. Like, when you first log in the game to get to that character select screen, dude. So it was like 1 minute 34 was the load time on the Xbox One X, which is arguably the most powerful one out there currently in this generation. 18 seconds on the new Xbox.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, 1 minute 34 to 18 seconds. That's impressive as fuck. Red Dead Redemption, 2 minutes 8 seconds to go from title screen to loading a save game. 2 minutes 8 seconds down to 38 seconds.
Yeah.
Yep. Control, 58 seconds down to 10. Final Fantasy 15, 1 minute 11 seconds down to 13. Outer Worlds, 43 seconds down to 11. This is the shit that I want to hear because those load screens have been getting real bloating. And if we can get rid of that, yeah, man, I'm on board.
Yeah, I agree. At the same time, I'm thinking right now, though, like, Genshin on my phone loads the whole world, and I want to say, like, 20 seconds.
It's optimized as fuck, that game. Like, on PC, it's even faster than that. Like, I don't have any other game on my PC that I've played this year that loads faster than Genshin Impact. I do not understand it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I don't understand how it works. So, like, the reason why I bring that up is because, like, that's what I'm applying now to every other game. Like, that's gonna be like my baseline for how good this new loading speed is gonna be. So, I'm super excited because literally, like, it makes me so happy to like teleport from one place to another on the map and it literally be up in fucking like 10 to 20 seconds, dude. It's insane.
How does your battery tolerate it?
For me, so I have an iPhone 8 Plus. Luckily, I'm getting the 12 Pro Max actually.
Here we go.
Soon. So I'm finally upgrading. But for me, it doesn't handle it that well. Like it's not terrible, but I'm not surprised either because it's graphically intensive. But I probably get like, I want to say 2.5 hours out of it or so.
Okay.
Like it's not terrible, but it's certainly not great.
Yeah.
That's better than some other mobile games we played this year, like Realm of Champs. Oof, that bad boy was eating battery, and it's nowhere near as graphically impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. And I already know that, like, because one of my buddies, he has an iPhone 11, and his will last for like 5 hours or so.
Okay.
With it, so his handles it like a champ. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen with the 12 Pro Max, and I think that thing is supposed to go for like 7 hours. It said for intense gaming. So
okay.
Yeah.
They certainly seem to be going at that gaming angle for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Now, Twitch has already brought one game out of possible obscurity with Among Us. And I know that you guys have fallen in that within A&R Piker. You guys have played more than a few games of that. Twitch has brought us the new multiplayer thing for this month of October. And that is a game called Phasmophobia. Did you get a chance to look at this before the show?
I did from the video that you sent.
Well, you and I watched it together. I'm talking to Piker,
Yeah,
Yeah, so I checked it out. I haven't seen it like live streamed or gotten on Twitch and seen anybody play it, but I did check out the article you sent. It's interesting.
It's basically that TV show Ghost Hunters, the video game, is kind of it, but if they actually found ghosts. So this is massive. Like, you have some of the biggest streamers and YouTubers of the world streaming this right now. Like, PewDiePie literally had like 800,000 people watching his stream for this game. And for me, the weirdest part about it was normally with these games that take off, they're very accessible. But this one here is mainly a VR title. Like, yes, you can play it on desktop, but it's predominantly a VR game. So when I saw that, I was like, shit, why is this trending? And then I saw the gameplay, and I was like, okay, this is actually pretty cool. So the concept is you're a group of up to 4 co-op, which is even cooler for VR. 4 ghost hunters go into a house, and you have all the kit that ghost hunters have, like these EMF meters, you have microphones, cameras, all that sort of shit. And what you need to try and do is figure out what is haunting the house. You need to get as much information as possible and then try and correctly identify what the being is and then get out and survive. That's the whole idea. It looks like it's full of jump scares. It looks creepy as fuck, but actually looks really entertaining that you can work together to try and track down what this is. So, I mean, the only thing that would have made this cooler if this was like Supernatural, the video game, for me. Like if there was actually not only like doing the detective part of it, but then a combat sequence. But I'll take what I can get, man. I think this is a really cool idea and looks like a relatively polished experience to boot.
Dude, you're going to be Dean for Halloween, aren't you?
Maybe. Yeah, I'll just walk around the house and wife's going, Cass. What else does he say? He always says bitch, and there's something else he says.
He just walks around saying bitch.
He says bitch a lot in that show, yeah. Yeah, always says Sammy, Cass, bitch, something else. I can't remember. Come on, I think he says
I will
a lot.
say, like, I wonder if since this did really well, obviously, and it's VR, so it's kind of proof of concept for a desire for a game like this.
Yep.
We have Tokyo Ghost Hunter coming out. For PlayStation 4, right? Maybe for Xbox too. I don't remember if it's coming out. If it's
PS5 is still exclusive at this stage, but we think it's going to be a timed release.
Oh yeah, not PS4, PS5.
Yeah,
but yeah, like I wonder if they could make a VR. I'm just like imagining in my head, like a VR version of that game. Would be super fucking cool.
Well,
Since
being the fact that we've talked
clean
about on this podcast that game that you're referencing is basically Epilepsy, the video game. I don't know if that's a good idea in VR. That seems crazy. Yeah.
You're not wrong, I guess. But yeah, like for me at least, that sounds super fucking fun. So
yeah, man, it looks good. And the fact that it's $20, it's $20 as well. Like. This seems to be the new thing is like make a game that's multiplayer only, that's co-op, or maybe a little bit of PvP in there. Make it fun, make it accessible, and make it cheap. You know, it's a recipe for success. It really is. If you make, you know, and like look at the coverage they're getting, like, you know, from Among Us to this thing so quickly. It's incredible how Twitch and YouTube is just like defining games that I think wouldn't be that big without that presence and being so streamable. And I'd be curious to see where the developers start going this way, where they start going, is this something that will be streamable? I know that a lot of the game companies were doing this with, you know, can I make this into an e-sport? That was the big thing for the last decade. Can I fill a stadium with people that are going to scream at, you know, 18-year-old kids as they win, you know, fucking $8 million for playing this game? Yes or no? If the answer is no, fuck it, get rid of it, right? Whereas now I think we're seeing more of this. Can we create a fun multiplayer experience that people want to watch? That people can go, I don't want to play it, but I just want to watch the fuck out of it, dude.
See, I think that's where I would be. Like, I don't have a VR, and this is not a game that I would probably ever play. But a couple, like, funny, interesting people, I would totally watch somebody stream
Absolutely.
This game.
Yeah. Especially, you need one guy that's, like, you know, pants shitting himself. One guy that's like clever and is like figuring out all the puzzles. Like you can have like a legitimate like 80s movie crew. I think that's what is really entertaining about this.
Yes.
Because like Among Us as itself, that game, I wouldn't say it's like the most fun game, but playing it and working out how much of a genuine psychopath one of your friends is, that's where the entertainment is, right?
Yes.
So yeah,
absolutely.
I dig it, man. So yeah, it's fun. I think for $20, I mean, shit, if I can find any time in my schedule this week, I think I'm going to pick it up to have a crack.
Nice.
Same. Yeah.
All right.
Well, you better stream.
Potatoes is in the next news story for reasons.
Potatoes.
Yeah, this is just a fun one for me, to be honest. So there seems to be this challenge at the moment, and I don't know why it's this game or why it's happening in 2020, but there is board engineers everywhere, folks. And the challenge this year seems to be, how can I play the game Doom on any electrical device known to man? Right? So in the last 6 months, we have seen Doom played and loaded on a smart fridge. We have seen Doom played on a pregnancy test, like an electric pregnancy test with that tiny little screen. And now we have seen one played on a graphical calculator that is literally powered by potatoes. I don't know whose idea this was to start this trend of let's just put Doom on everything, but I do love the level of nerditry that is involved here. Like the fact that people are going, well, what could I play it on? You know, could I play it on this? Can I play it on this? And the fact that they're succeeding in ways that's just insane. And just nothing shows the technological leaps we've had realistically in such a short period of time, that it used to take what would have been deemed as one of the most powerful processing computers at the time to run Doom in its original form. And now you can play it on something that a chick pisses on to work out if she's pregnant. You know what I mean? Like, it's just incredible. So I kind of love this whole nerdy engineering challenge theme of 2020. And just goes to show what those dudes will do when they're bored.
Yeah, for real.
Well, I think it's safe to say that this would never happen without COVID-19.
I disagree. I mean, nerds do this sort of shit all the time. Just like, well, I have a Raspberry Pi. What can I do with it? Yeah. Yeah. So good, man. So good. Speaking of nerds doing the Lord's work, one of the things that we see all the time now, that Game Pass is so good and it is expanding so goddamn fast. What tends to happen a lot now, especially for PC users, is you'll go to Steam and there's a great sale and you see a game that you've had your eye on for ages that just wasn't quite good enough to get you full retail money. But it's like, dude, 60% off? Yeah, fuck, I'm going to buy it. And then you buy it only to realize moments later, God damn it, it's in the Game Pass for the next few months, right? I could have played it for free, no dollars down on top of my monthly sub. So there is a gentleman who has basically built a browser extension for Steam that will basically do a quick scan when you click on a game, and it will tell you if you load this extension browser, and it's free, although you can give the guy some PayPal money because he's done the Lord's work here, that it will tell you if it's in the Game Pass, and it'll tell you when it's likely to leave the Game Pass as well. So I think there's something really, really cool about that. That's awesome. Like, so many people I've heard go, fuck, I just wasted $10 on a game that I would have got for free anyway. So that's
I agree.
Quality of life shit for sure. This one's for you, Hebrew, is the only reason I put this in. It's relatively minimal info at the moment, but the guy who was very much responsible, one of the lead developers for the BioShock games, he has left. He's gone over to a newer studio. They're doing their own thing at this stage. But Ken Levine and the guys from Ghost Story Games, they are working on a FPS game with RPG elements. Basically, it's going to be their BioShock universe. And they are saying that they are in the very, very late stages of development. So we could actually see something as soon as next year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited for this. Obviously, everyone knows that I'm a huge BioShock fan at this point. I can't be more excited. I've been waiting so patiently for more news to come out about it. They've been so tight-lipped about everything. This makes me feel more confident, but at the same time, like, I have heard, like, literally those exact words of in the late stages of development for this game a couple of times now before. So I imagine that, especially since we have new consoles coming out, like, this is actually going to be real, and they are in late stages for releasing a game. I think it'll probably be like next year that we'll at least see a trailer, if not have it released. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. Like, BioShock, I mean, you guys have played BioShock, I'm sure, right? I know you have, Chew.
Oh yeah.
I have not. I know that'll be shocking to you.
Fuck,
dude. I tell you what, man, if you maybe for the next console, I think that'd be one thing that I would love for you to load up on the channel, the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You playing through, especially BioShock 1. If you only do one game, for me, I'd love to see you play BioShock 1 just for the story.
Okay. It's
just
so good.
Yeah, I was hooked on that, man. And I was one of the people that didn't see it coming too. So yeah.
Same. I don't believe people that say that they saw it coming. I don't.
Well, Piker might now that he knows that there's a thing.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, like day one, like I think it's unless you were like told by someone, like I don't think you see that coming at all. Like, and fuck you if you say that.
Yeah, when it went down, I was like, "Fuck you!" When that moment happened, and I was like, "Then of course it all makes sense." And then that makes you want to play the second time through because, like, watching a movie where there is something like that, and you realize that the hints were there and the answer was in front of you the whole time, like this season of The Boys. I went through and rewatched that season this week. And it's all there in front of us. It's really cool. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, see that's what makes it so good. It's just like whenever you like, because tons of movies and stuff like that. I've also just tried to pull off stuff like BioShock did, and then you watch it back and it doesn't add up. Still, it wasn't enough. To convince me. But in the ones that really pull it off, where you look back and you're like, oh my god, like your mind's blown every single time. You're like, fuck. So yeah, and that was very much this experience. So can't,
good to know.
I can't wait. Yeah. And I personally, like, I was like, BioShock 2 was definitely like, it was like a solid BioShock game to play, but it didn't have the narrative like the first one. BioShock 3 is like, it's a little more polarizing. I still think the majority, like the vast majority, I would probably say, really liked it, but I could see complaints and why people didn't like it as well on the other side.
So I think Infinite was so much better than BioShock 2. I really do.
I loved Infinite. I thought Infinite it wasn't as good as 1, but I think it was very close because I thought that the story was amazing.
That is the only video game that I've ever played that my wife literally said to me, don't play the next bit until I'm here next. Like when we were dating, like, cause she was so hooked on that story. Yeah. And the soundtrack was fucking amazing as well. Like that song Beast by Nico Vega, as well as the Rod Stewart cover. The way they merged those two together, fuck, man. Everything about that was really, really good. But she used to say, like, don't play that while I'm not here because I want to watch it. And she did. She was obsessed with it to the point where she wanted to try out, like, playing a BioShock game. And you know what it's like, given a controller with the two analog sticks to someone that's never gamed before.
Oh, yeah.
Where they don't understand that one does the moving, one does the looking. Yeah. Right. So she gave up pretty quick and said, well, you just play and I'll watch. So.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, that's when you know you have a winner right there.
Oh, for sure. But, I mean, she was deep in nerddom from the start. If we ever do a Harry Potter specific episode, I'll get her on.
Well, I mean, whenever we have that new Harry Potter game, then she's going to fucking love the shit out of that, it sounds like.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I think she will, for sure. I showed her the trailer and she was like, this looks awesome. And I said, look, just don't post that on social media because apparently you're not allowed to like it. But yeah, it's
there you go.
Good times. Now, in the trend of releasing pocket versions of the consoles of years gone, Sega is celebrating 60 years as a company, which blows my mind. So there was a video game company 60 years ago, but there you go. They're talking about releasing a new mini console, and they're talking about making that the Dreamcast, which I think would be hilarious because I think if they did a mini version of this, it would mean that more people would probably own this version than actually own the original.
Probably. Like, can I buy Sonic for that, like, right now?
I imagine you could probably get like a bunch. Well, it'll be one of those ones that has all the games preloaded. So I reckon it'll be like Panzer Dragoon and different versions of Sonic and different things were available at that time. I'd say yes. But we're seeing more of those little mini consoles being very hackable as well. Like people go, yeah, I love what you've done with it, but let me pimp your ride, you know?
Yeah, well, I think the Switch has just made so much freaking money.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking at that and saying, how can we get a little bit for us?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why more companies aren't going after that. I think the only company I know of that's trying to go toe-to-toe with the Switch, isn't it NVIDIA? Aren't NVIDIA working on something? I swear I've seen this. Where they're working on a handheld, but they're trying to do it so that basically their idea is having a handheld that you can play your stream library from, your Steam library, which is pretty ambitious. But if you could pull it off, you can have something that had reasonable graphics and you can play all of the mainstream games from Steam, as opposed to whatever Nintendo is willing to let coded on their platform, because they control that so hard.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of like, anything above M15 is, anything that's R-rated, forget it. It's not coming to Nintendo. And crossplay as well. Crossplay is a big deal because Nintendo usually says eat a dick. They're like, no, we can't guarantee that a kid's experience will be safe online unless they're playing against just other Nintendo players. and they claim that's why they didn't build voice in. Well, we still know it's just hardware bullshit, but it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think about like if you were able to have a handheld version of Steam?
Sure, I guess.
It depends what you're playing, I think. Some
Yeah.
games really lend itself to that, and others, it doesn't translate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was called the NVIDIA
Yeah, I mean,
Shield or something. Yeah.
yeah, it's just for me, I'm like, because it's like a little like mobile console controller thing, right?
Yeah, well,
That's
it's
basically
kind of
like
like
what
it has the screen, but it has the bigger controller underneath it. Like we're seeing a lot of these Microsoft type things where you have the controller and you just plug your phone on the top of it. It looked a lot like that. I don't know if it's still being worked on or whether it's gone now. I know they released one version of it years ago, but yeah, I know that someone was working on like a newer version of something there.
Yeah, so I think it really depends. Like the reason why I like mobile gaming is because I always have my phone on me.
Mm-hmm.
So like the portability of it is already built in there. But for these kind of like other mobile systems, like I don't know how much I'd like it because I just don't know how much I'd actually use it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't, for
Mhm.
Yeah, but it would be cool. Like I mean, because there's probably tons of people that would like just like they just want to play it at night in their bed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or on the
So
train or
Oh, I think they're playing
subway.
something else at night in their bed.
Hey, oh,
true that.
that's it. Yeah, there's no prawn hub
But yeah.
on that Switch, son.
Yeah, long commutes and stuff like that. Obviously, like you're right, like
Yeah.
train rides and shit like that. Like I see
Absolutely.
it, but
Yeah.
Or in like a self-driving Tesla. Tell me, I cannot wait for that era
There
to
you
come
go.
through where you can just like run a console from the driver's seat, I say in
Yeah.
quote ears.
Mhm.
Yeah. Piker, I know that you are the man that is Assassin's Creed for this podcast. Tell me about Valhalla. What's been coming out this week?
Yeah, so Ubisoft did their deep dive into Valhalla this week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have to say, I've gotten more into kind of figuring out all of the deets for it more recently. With every iteration of Assassin's Creed, it's at least to me felt more like they've stepped farther and farther away from like the core aspects of that game and what I fell in love with. So I really wasn't following Valhalla too much in the early stages, but learning a little bit more about it is interesting. It's still not an Assassin's Creed game, but I digress. This one is going to be a little bit more interesting, I think, in how they've articulated the structure of the game. So, if you've played an Assassin's Creed game in the past, it's kind of this like ebb and flow, but it's a very linear pathway towards like your ultimate goal. There's a big bad guy that you have to assassinate, and there's some side missions here or there, but you're kind of making your way towards taking out that character.
Mm-hmm.
They've described Valhalla as very different in that it's not linear progression like that. They've articulated it as more of a flower style where you have sort of a single like hub, your settlement, and you're going to go out on missions and accomplish something or do something and then return back to your settlement. So each kind of like arc is kind of like a flower petal. So you'll start at your settlement, you'll go out and do something, and then you'll come back. And the more of those that you do, the more you'll expand and grow your settlement, which will enhance your character and also increase the customization. So they're sticking with sort of the gender selection where you can, at the start of the game, select whether you want to be male or female, but you'll be able to change that dynamically throughout the game. So if you, decide to start out as, female, you can, change it to the male at any point in the game, and everything is kind of like seamless. It kind of maintains all of your progression, all of your customization. So that's interesting. But the other thing is, and I have had to do a little bit of deep digging and get some clarification on this. There's not going to be multiplayer with this game, but you will be able to build out like a mercenary character, and we're not yet sure if you can build out more than one, but you can at least build one that you can then share with your friends. So whenever they're raiding, they can call in your Viking mercenary character on their mission, and it sounds like you'll get some of the rewards from them doing that mission. So it'll be a little bit easier for you to do it because you have stronger characters with you that are, your friends' characters, and you'll get rewards from them completing. So that's an interesting component that I want to kind of learn a little bit more about as we get closer to its launch next month.
Can I ask a few things, or Chew, did you want to say something first real quick?
Go for it.
Mine's a little bit longer.
Go for it.
Okay. So first of all, as far as the multiplayer aspect is concerned, as a fellow like early Assassin's Creed adopter, do you remember, I think it was Brotherhood that had their first go at multiplayer? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, where you were trying to out-assassin each other?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
I personally fucking loved that.
Yeah.
Did you guys like that, or am I alone in this?
It was pretty clunky.
Yeah, I didn't
it was
play much
it was
of
definitely like rougher, but I'm talking about like the concept of the gameplay, like because I actually like thought it was a lot of fun to chase down other assassins and like you said, like out assassin them.
Yeah, it was a cool idea, like trying to like deliberately walk slower to sort of blend in with the crowd. And like take routes that seem more generic rather than any unpredictable motion. You go, well, that's definitely going to be a player. There were some cool ideas in there. I don't think it was executed very well at all in that particular game, but yeah, it was definitely something that has potential that I haven't really seen a game do that since.
Yeah.
Where you have like this kind of world that's so heavily populated that you can do this. But now I think about it, I'm surprised that you can't.
Well, that's the thing is it's like it's already like built into the system, so it wouldn't take that much effort, especially now when everything's is more refined because they've done so many iterations of this. But like it was also much more unique of a multiplayer experience than games out there now. So like I'm just surprised because like I feel like it's not like that much more effort to do, and it was fun, but they bailed on it basically after that game. Like they didn't do it again.
I was just gonna say, I don't think we saw it in a Assassin's Creed game after that.
No,
I don't think that we did.
Yeah.
So I would love to see something like that come back. If anyone has any pull there at all, you need to tell them to bring that shit back. Please.
Yeah. Did they do any multiplayer for Hitman? I still haven't played those reboots, but I've heard they're real good.
I've never played Hitman, so I have no idea.
I've heard the new one's good. Oh, you have?
Yeah, I don't think I've played the newest one, but I've played a lot of the older ones. I don't
Apparently it's
any
all about the new ones. No, the old ones didn't, but I know the new ones were pretty raved about. Yeah. Interesting. All right. That is going to take us across into Hebrew's mobile corner. Wild Rift is going to be on us pretty soon, mate.
Yeah, so obviously I play a shit ton of League of Legends, people. So I've been playing it since season 1. I was like days away from getting the special beta pass Bowser skin for Rammus. So I'm still salty about that, like 10 years later. So just know that. But yeah, so basically we're finally getting, Wild Rift. We just saw like a preview of it. I mean, there's been tons of gameplay and stuff out because it's been in closed beta for a bit now. They've been opening up region by region. India, I think, was just the most recent one as of a few days ago that got opened up into it. But they put it on the iPhone 12 during their release launch to show out its gaming capabilities, which is interesting because like it shows that mobile games are making that like a feature, or like they show that they're thinking of mobile gaming now whenever designing phones. Like they cared enough about that to put that in their presentation as like a main part. So that's cool. They showed it like basically optimized, especially with 5G and stuff like that. But yeah, it looks incredibly good. Keep in mind, this is not just a simple port. This is its own unique game. I wouldn't say it like super unique, but it's the same like style, but it's not the same system that it runs on at all. And tons of things are different. But yeah, so it is coming. We don't have a set release date yet. so you're just gonna have to live with that for now. But we're probably gonna be like how they have typically worked with the games that they've come out with post League of Legends, is that it goes into closed beta for like not terribly long of a time, and then it goes into open beta, and it stays in open beta for usually like a month or so before they fully launch. So yeah, I assume we're probably going to start seeing like some Twitch invite stuff fairly soon here. So prepare for that ride again. And yeah, I mean, it looks great. I'm not sure if you guys saw. Did you guys see the footage at all of this?
No,
I haven't.
Not this one. I've been seeing the previous ones for Wild Rift, yeah, but not this one.
Okay, all right, gotcha. So yeah, like it looks really, really, really good on the phone. And especially like it looks so crisp on that iPhone 12. I will say, I'm really excited about it. You could tell that sucker was on max graphics, and I loved it. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on right now. As far as like other mobile games that are coming, there really isn't anything right now. There's a couple of pay games that are coming down the pipe, but nothing of like good poise that people have been waiting for a while. Among Us is still topping the charts in the mobile section right now, along with Genshin. Genshin is, I think, rated number 6 as of right now.
Wow.
But it's it's so funny to see the games that are always ranked as number 1. Among Us is a unique one. I'm actually surprised that one is number 1. Just because it's taken over everything, so it's not surprising in that way. But usually the top games are like the fucking silly, like brainless games, like Knife Throw was up there for like a long while at number 1.
Fruit Ninja, Candy Crush.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the like total bullshit time waster ones.
Like Balloons.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't hate on balloons.
but yeah, so those are the games that like are sitting up there right now. So yeah, hopefully we see some more mobile games coming in soon. Like it's been a little bit of a dry spell, honestly. Among Us came out of nowhere. It's been around for a really long time, but Among Us came out of nowhere, so I'm not really including that. But like Genshin was like the first big mobile game, and I think like probably the past 4 months, I want to say, that was like really meant to be something big that people were excited for mobile. So we're due for another one fairly soon. But yeah, if you haven't checked those out, make sure to check them out. There's also a lot of new Halloween content that just came updated. Pocket Camp, if anyone's a fan of that. My girlfriend plays the ever-living shit out of that. One of my biggest regrets in life is going to be introducing her to that goddamn game. Because she wanted to play the new one for the Switch, and she doesn't have a Switch. I do, but she isn't here to play it right now.
Right.
So it's like they do have this Pocket Camp on the phone. She never stops playing it now. So
good times.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it for the mobile section.
Cool. All right, so let's talk about what's coming out in the next week. There's a bunch of indie games. Most of it's sort of not really noteworthy, but we do have the Doom Eternal expansion. Ancient Gods Part 1 is out October 20. Mario Kart Live, which we talked about last week, came out today. October 22, we're seeing the next piece of DLC for Pokemon Sword and Shield, which is the Crown Tundra expansion. So that's going to be adding in quite a bit of content. I really do need to loop back around and play more of that. I've got, I think it's Shield, still sitting in my Switch for many months now, and I'm hearing nothing but amazing things about this generation. And then one that I know that Piker... sorry?
I was just going to say, I actually downloaded it not too long ago, like I want to say like a month ago to play it. And honestly, like I wasn't that impressed. I don't know what your take on it was, but I found it really repetitive.
I mean, that's Pokemon. I will say that I really, really like this version's take on it, though. So I probably put in about maybe 2 hours when it first came out. And yeah, really, really enjoyed it, dude. So it's one of those ones that just got overtaken by other games that were more, I need to play them right then and there. Whereas I think Pokemon's one of those ones you can kind of pick up just during a lull and have that fun. I'm not one of the ones that can just go through and like, okay, I need to get every Pokemon to level 100 because I lose patience. Right. And there is a min-maxing system in that, which I've never given a shit about. But yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I love the looks. I love the rework. Anything that gets us closer and closer to a, more
world.
live actiony open world RPG, I will support the shit out of that. And this is the closest step.
I do really love the aesthetics. It's just like my one issue with it is just that like basically to farm Pokemon, there's this one big area in the center of the map. Because I put in a lot of hours into it now overall, but like there's just one big area in the center of the map where a bunch of different Pokemon spawn, and it's just like a big circle basically, and that's where you go after each little story area, and so you always loop back to there, and so it's kind of like a little. But yeah, that's like my one issue with it. But the aesthetics on it, I really actually enjoy. So I'm with you there.
Absolutely. And this one's for Piker. The Ghost of Tsushima patch is out today in most places. With time zone, it won't be until the 17th of October. But the Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer patch is basically live as of the time of this podcast. Yeah.
I'm really excited to check it out. You got to finish that up. And if anybody wants to...
Because I'm not playing any fucking games right now.
Yeah. If anybody wants to play on the multiplayer, get in the A&R Discord, hit me up. I'm going to be checking it out. I'd love to, play with some guys.
Yeah, definitely.
Discord.me/ANR if anyone's wondering.
I want to see you and 3 other Ronins just wandering the countryside, bringing justice to feudal Japan. Be awesome.
Yes, indeed.
Heck yeah. All right, as far as sales and pass updates at the moment, there's a bunch of Halloween sales going on. We're expecting more of those over the coming weeks. My advice would probably be, look, there's some okay deals in here, but I would be waiting for the Black Friday sales. We're pretty close now. But yeah, on PlayStation, we got Death Stranding at $29, Days Gone at $19. Destiny 2 is going to be... The upgrade edition's $32. I'd say if you got Game Pass, go that way. But obviously, if you're on the PlayStation Store, you got to go with what you got. Diablo 3 Eternal Collection for $19. Doom Eternal, $29. Fallout 76 Wasteland is at $29 as well. That game in its current state is actually pretty good. If you haven't played this Fallout, now is probably the better time to try it out, because it was pretty rough at launch, but now the meme's over. It is actually a pretty decent Fallout game. So there is that. And then Steam's doing some Sega sales at the moment because of the 60th anniversary. Sales are up to 95% off. Company Heroes is on sale. Warhammer's on sale. And Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is free at the moment, all for Piker. Very, very cool. All right, let's take some questions from the Patreon boys. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right. So Slim is coming out first, and he says, if you were given the lead to develop the perfect game, what style of game would you want to create? Would it be a fighting game, FPS, RPG? For said game, would you rather create your own IP or license your favorite IP for the game? If you choose the later, which IP would you use? What do you got, boys?
So mine's in development.
Oh, yeah?
Idea what I would do. That Harry Potter RPG it was the game that I always wanted to see. I wanted to see an open world Harry Potter universe RPG game where you can, make your own decisions, be a good wizard, be a bad wizard. That's what I wanted to see. I'm so excited for that game. I'm optimistic.
Yeah. For me, it's probably what Star Citizen is trying to do, but I'd say take it further, using elements of EVE Online and the old Star Wars Galaxies, which is, I'd love to see a universe that's populated by people. So in other words, you can go into this game and, you could literally become a merchant. You could become a crafter and just participate in the economy. You could become a pirate, a space pirate. You could become a space enforcer. You can join the military who's supposed to enforce law and order, and have your basic storylines, but then have a universe that really feels lived in. I love the idea of going into a world and knowing that the store I'm going to is, manned by a real person. Do you know what I mean? I'd love that if that was a thing, because it's amazing how much these sort of online open world games, people get into the economies, like World of Warcraft, how people are basically manipulating it all. So there is definitely an appetite for it, and the ability to just negotiate with someone for an item that you really want. Of come on, bro, I'll give you this and this instead on a barter trade, And I think the idea of that would be pretty great. And then obviously being able to have your ship that you customize and build and evolve. So it's kind of a hybrid of a lot of the ideas that are out there, but just going even further and making it a player-based game. Now, Fallout 76 showed me that perhaps we're not there yet, because when that first came out and there was no other, NPCs, it was only real people, it shows you that, that can be a pretty boring experience if it's done wrong. So something in that sphere is what I would like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I want to say, like, so I'm going to have my own, but I will say, like, probably my number one would have to be, like, an MMO Harry Potter. Like, that sounds so much fucking fun to me. And this one, I know we're not getting that. It's going to be, like, single player. So,
Yeah.
I honestly feel like that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
It is what it is there. But other than that, though, like, what I would really, really love is a, like, Naruto IP MMO game. I think that it's done really well. There's actually been, like, there is a mobile version of this already out, but it's done so poorly. But, like, that world is so rich, and you can, like, the abilities are so diverse. You could have, like, a combat style fairly similar to Genshin, which would be part of my dream team now, actually, like, with elemental reactions, because elements are a huge part of the Naruto universe. And so I think, like, that kind of the Genshin combat system combined with the Naruto IP with an MMO, like, dungeon, like, heavy dungeons with puzzles and shit like that, I would go so ham on that game. I think my life would be over. So, yeah. So that would definitely be my number one pick, I think, of all time.
Yeah, if we're doing IP driven, I've said this many times, it would still be Stargate MMO, for sure.
You love Stargate, I guess.
Do.
Yeah.
As that universe, though, I think that as a video game, I think you underestimate how cool that is. Because, like, expansion packs, you just release new planets or new galaxies, and then you got new races, new species, and there's different things you can do. Like, you can have your Dr. Daniel Jackson style character, who he literally wants to go world to world, like No Man's Sky, documenting new plants and fauna and ancient, civilizations. Then you have Sam Carter, who's trying to source new technologies and trying to, find, new energy systems or anything like that, or new chemical compounds that can be used in medicine. And then you have your military guys. So, you're literally escorting these people to make sure they can complete their mission while you're trying to fight off Goa'uld. So, I mean, there's so much you could do in an MMO for Stargate. I think it's a universe that's literally built on the premise of, ancient gods as well. And obviously them, role-playing as gods. They're just people that had advanced tech. Then there's obviously spaceship elements as well. Like, if you wanted to go into space things, then there's space battles. You have, the human-style cruisers versus the Goa'uld motherships, or versus the Ori. There's so much you could do with that universe, man. It's more of a video game potential than there is in the show, to be honest.
Fair enough, yeah.
All right, this one's for you, Hebrew. Curtis the Greek is asking, you are a fan of Impractical Jokers. So his question is, what loser task would you give to us?
What loser task? Oh, man. I would need time to, like, craft, like, a really good one.
Right.
But trying to think of, like, what you guys would absolutely hate.
I'd make you edit the podcast every week.
There you go. Yeah.
Wow.
That's punishment enough.
Somehow I'm already the loser
He's
of this
living his
podcast
punishment.
doing that. Yeah. I fucking hate that shit.
Oh man, this is tough.
Well, why don't you tell us one of your favorite ones from the show then?
My favorite one. So he and I actually had this discussion.
Okay.
My favorite one would probably have to be. There's two, so I'm gonna give you two. Favorite one is going to have to be. There was one where, one of the main guys who's like my favorite. He basically had to act as a waiter in a restaurant, and there was out of all of the tables, there was 5 of them that were breakaway tables. All of the other ones were real tables, and it wasn't like super easy breakaway either. You had to actually put some weight to break them. He had to find those 5 tables and break them.
Right.
So and the restaurant was live, like people were in there dining. It was a full restaurant. So he had to go around as a waiter and just like try to find ways to like subtly like try to figure out which ones were which because he didn't want to do anything ridiculous. And eventually he just had to give up, and he just started doing ridiculous shit and dive bombing tables all over the place. And he ended up like hurting his, like he ended up having to dive off of a ladder to get one to break. And he ended up like hurting himself really bad too. It was so funny. So that one, and then there's another one where this guy Murr, who's like the nerd of the bunch, he had to go to he's really bad at public speaking. Like he gets so nervous about public speaking. He had to go to a tech conference, like huge tech conference, and they put him up there saying that he was like this tech god basically, and that's how the introducers put him up there. And they gave him like these lines to read and this thing to suck on, and like if he sucked on one of the things, it made his voice really high, and if he sucked on the other one, it made his voice really low.
Gotcha.
And so he had to start going through this thing, and he basically was giving unknowingly, he didn't know what any of this was before, and he had to sight read it, and then they told him over an intercom when to suck and and which one. And he basically was reading out a whole origin story of how he became a supervillain called Gigabyte. Right. And he kept like lowering it ended up having a battle with himself where he would like lower his voice, and then they would heighten it and be like, "No, I'm defeated." It was so funny. Look it up on YouTube. It's fucking hysterical. But yeah, those are my favorite things. I'm gonna actually get back to you next week with what I would do to punish you guys, because that's a really good question. I don't want to give it just so little thought.
Fair enough. Piker,
I'm not scared.
McFly is asking, if you can have one superpower, what would it be?
If I could have one superpower, I would probably have to go with, remember what was his name? Kilgrave from Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Where basically you can convince anyone to do anything by just telling them to do it.
Still the scariest superhero I've ever seen. Nothing felt as visceral as his performance as Kilgrave, dude.
Tenet is so good, though.
I was fucking scared for the first time. Yeah. That was nuts.
What about you, Hebrew? What power would you pick?
I think I've already told you guys this before, but it's the power to make anything fat.
That's right.
Like, no one will fuck with you no matter what if you can make them fat. So like, it's really the ability to make like people fat or skinny. So yeah, if like this fucking like super hot chick or like really douchey guy like comes over and they're being a douche, you're just like, you're fat now.
Jesus Christ.
And then I'd make all the people that are like fat, I would make them skinny. It'd be like, congratulations, you're now skinny.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that would be my form of punishment that I would dish out on the world as I saw fit.
Yeah, right. I changed mine a lot, but I think my main one at the moment would be, I think COVID's probably leaned into this even further, is basically, the ability to tear the fabric of our current reality and just interconnect 2 points. So kind of like that knife we talked about in his Dark Materials, where you could just open up a point between where you are now and where you want to be, but being able to do variable sizes, because I think you could do so much with that. Like, you could literally, can you imagine how much money you could make right now? For example, if I could say, hey man, I can take it from here to Donald Trump's office right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could just make so much money just transporting people around the world. The fact that you could do like, a travel company, like you just make so much money off it, as well as doing cool shit. Like, you get aid into Yemen or Rwanda or anything like that instantly. Like, you don't have to worry about stuff. You could save lives. You could, murder bad guys pretty easily. Like, so for example, if you know that there's an enemy encampment, literally just create a portal between the bottom of the Pacific Ocean to directly above them. You know what I mean? So there's so much cool shit you could do with portal powers, man.
Or you could just make them fat.
Yeah, like I could just teleport your fat man into space. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. That's true.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Judas95, you are stuck in the last movie or series that you watched. Who would you bone first? Good question. Mine's a very sad answer, but we'll go you guys first.
What is the last thing Well, I guess I was watching The Office last.
Okay. So who'd you bone from The Office? Phyllis?
So I would definitely bone what's her face? Pam. I would definitely bone Pam first.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's like the only I think she's like the only boneable person there.
I reckon the boss lady had a fair bit of milf-tastic about her. The one that
Jan?
Michael was dating. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She was out at the end. If I can do it from any time in the in the series, Jan would definitely be up there. Pam would be only second to the other girl that looks exactly like Pam that was on there for a little bit that dated Jim.
Yep.
She's in a bunch of movies. I forgot which ones it were.
I know the one you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, I always get the two of them confused, but she would be first, then Pam, then Jan.
Rashida Jones.
That's it. That's the one. Yeah, actually, no, she'd be number one for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. She would 100% be number one.
Truth. Yeah, well played.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I would do.
Piker, which character from Paw Patrol would you bone?
So actually, the series, just watched it last night for the second time, actually. Tiger King.
Oh, God.
So this is not going to go well for me.
God.
No, Carol Baskins? Hey, just walks in seductively. Hey there, cats and kittens.
What was
Oh God.
Nothing would make me flaccid faster.
The one dude's
Jesus
wife.
Shit. Yeah. The guy in the leather jacket all the time.
Oh, you're right.
Oh, fuck yeah. He had a steady, yeah.
The
I
one
know who
that she
you're
was
about.
Into threesomes every night, basically.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, you came out the winner there, I think.
Yeah.
Somehow you came out the winner there.
So I got two here because there's one's the last series that I watched, or the other one is technically the last thing that I sat down on the couch and it was in front of me. So last night during dinner, my wife was watching Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Well, you hit the gold mine.
I fucking hate that show. So all the reality TV I fucking despise. But obviously I've seen a certain Kardashian's ability to take a dick on camera, and I'm pretty confident she could do it right. So I'd say Kim Kardashian from that. Otherwise it'd be the boys. In which case, damn.
Starlight, baby.
It'd kind of have to. I'm trying to think if there was any other characters along the way they're pretty hot as well. But yeah, I'd probably say it'd be Starlight. Yeah. She's so tiny in real life, though, that actress. Like, very, very tiny young lady. Yeah.
Honestly, I think that she just has a, like, I actually, like, really like that actress. She just has a killer personality. I don't know if you've seen her in interviews and stuff.
I have, yeah.
But yeah, she's so fucking cool. So, like, I would definitely pick her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember any other, like, I don't know why. I mean, Queen Maeve is pretty hot. Like, I would do her.
She is. Stormfront. I know you
Stormfront,
couldn't even entertain that in your brain.
Like,
yeah, I knew that already.
Never.
If I had said Stormfront, I'm sure you would have gone, we can't be friends anymore.
Yeah, ironically, like I really love her haircut too. Honestly, that haircut does it for me.
Oh man, yeah, that
the
whole
one that
sort of
she
like
had.
half-shaved mohawk on one side
The
type
side
thing.
shave.
Yeah, man, I'm into it.
I don't know why it does it for me either, but it does.
Well, there is a strong link
so
between
weird.
women that have that haircut and are in films that we basically know exactly how well they can perform in the sack. I think that's exactly why that haircut is a thing. It's an attitude thing.
Yeah.
It's like tattoos, man.
Yeah, I
like
think
there are some ways
Yeah,
that
yeah,
certain
yeah.
chicks wear tattoos. You just go, fuck, that's hot. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, Dahooch has the big question. How would you fix the DC film universe?
I'd let Disney buy it.
Let Feige run everything. Well, I tell you who you
Yeah,
should hand it over to
exactly.
now. Who they should hand it over to because he's over there anyway on Suicide Squad. It's James Gunn.
Zach.
Fuck
Oh,
Zack.
yeah.
Fuck Zack Snyder. No, he had his time and his chances, bro. No, James Gunn. I'd
Yeah.
say hand it over to him. He's got an idea. I think the real problem that they have there is the villains. The way that they've done the villains up until now in the DC universe, they've all been pretty bad. Like, you've got Steppenwolf, terrible. You've got the Wonder Woman villain. Do I really need to go through that bullshit again? Superman,
Oh, God,
Zod was okay. Zod was all right, but the way they did that storyline was certainly not that good. The Aquaman main villain, when did he feel like a threat? I mean, Black Manta to an extent, sure, but the main guy was fucking terrible. So they just have this theme where, like, the villains, they're not threatening at all. They're not in a way that makes you even think for a second that they're more than one-dimensional, that there might be something else to them. Like, think about Thanos, right? He was incredible. And the reason that those movies were so good was because of Thanos and the Black Order. You know, I mean, the MCU is not immune to this either. I mean, you think about Thor: The Dark World. That movie was terrible because the way that they scripted the villain and they wasted Chris Eccleston was almost, lynchable offense. Like, just crazy. So I'd say the main problem they have at the moment is the villains and writing a compelling enough story around that villain to have the heroes rise and show their full potential of why they are the hero that story needs right now. That's probably the core of what's wrong with the DC universe in my mind. And just relying more on character dynamics and chemistry between the characters rather than special effects. Like, Marvel's definitely got that warmth and that emotional beats. Like, the fact that they can make you, like, really laugh at some of the Tony Stark moments early on in Endgame to, like, borderline crying when Stark dies.
Exactly.
Or, like yelling, "Fuck yeah!" when Cap picks up Mjolnir for the first time. Like, they know which are the beats that we need to hit for everyone, what are the nerdgasms we can elicit in the true fans, and balance that out. Whereas what they're really trying to do in DC is move as far away as they can from the source material in the wrong parts and trying to lean too far in the right parts. Like, the whole Batman versus Superman thing was a hugely wasted opportunity for one of the coolest storylines in that universe. So yeah, for me, that's the core of the problem, is the personality, the dynamics, the characters. You need to love these characters. You need to understand them. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Yeah. And they just chop and change so much that, you don't really feel, even if they did have a good villain and they were threatened, you're like, yeah, but do I care if they die? You know what I mean? So I think the best one they fleshed out is definitely Gal Gadot. I think Wonder Woman's been the best scripted so far. They've given her human moments as Diana that you know who she is in this world, what she's fighting for and what drives her. And yeah, her combat scenes are usually some of the better ones. But yeah, they just need to give her a better villain, which should be interesting to see Kristen Wiig if we ever get to see that movie. Well, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, like, I think motivation is honestly like villains and their motivations, I think, are like one of the biggest issues that they have. Are there, just to echo what you said, like with Thanos, you understood him, and that was a huge part of being able to resonate with his character. Yeah, and every single villain that we've had so far is just fucking throwaway garbage in DC. So yeah, and it's really depressing that we just haven't had a perfect movie for DC yet. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like, my answer to solve it all would be to sell it to Disney and let Feige run it. That would fix it too, I bet.
Warner Brothers will never let it happen. So
no, of course not.
Yeah,
this is my dream.
Anything to add on top of that, Pygo?
Man, it's hard to follow up with that explanation that you gave. I mean, I would have to get rid of Patterson, bring back Keaton as Batman.
Yeah, fuck yeah, actually. Oh, have you guys heard about that shit with the Batman too?
No.
There's strong rumors at the moment that Patterson's being a bitch on set. So apparently with COVID, they finally got back to filming. And the rumor is that Patterson came back and they'd basically given him a gym routine that he was supposed, and a diet that he was supposed to be on during the quarantine while they were down for filming to get as jacked as possible. Because obviously one of the concerns was that physically he's not Bruce Wayne. So they said, look, now with this extra time, go out, get jacked. Here's what you need to do. Here's our agreement. Came back in bad shape. Hadn't been doing it. So apparently that pissed off the director. They had a blow up. The chemistry's fucked between them. They don't like working with each other now. So there's rumors that, there's bad things happening on that set. So that's what you get when you make this casting.
Not my Batman.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Affleck's back, right? In the DCEU main universe, I believe. Affleck's back. Cavill's back as Superman as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
so
did
that's
hear that.
Good shit. Yeah. But yeah, fucking Pattinson, bro. Who does that? They're in Twilight. Talk about like people who get typecast and you go, maybe they shouldn't get hired again. Like, give Daisy Ridley a job, but fuck Robert Pattinson in a superhero movie. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I know he's talented. I know he's been doing really well in so many of these movies. And as Bruce Wayne the detective, sure. But as Batman, dude,
no.
Come on.
Yep. Yeah, I never saw him for that at all.
All right, let's finish off.
Actually, you know how to fix it? Sorry, I just came up with it. I know how to fix it. You fucking revive Heath Ledger and just let him go as Joker.
Yeah, man.
That's how you fix it.
Yeah. No more Letos. No more, perversions of the good name of the Joker, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, time to wrap it up with one of the most important parts of the show, which is, of course, the massive thank yous to those of you who are supporting us on our Patreon. We really appreciate everything you guys do for us. Obviously, we're still in these early months, so we know that some of you are going to like some episodes, not like others, so make sure you keep that feedback coming. I don't know whether we made some more jokes last week. We did lose a few patrons this week. But look, we want to make more of what you guys want. So please reach out to us. If there's something you want to see in the patron tiers that we're not currently providing, reach out, let us know. If it's something we can easily do within our busy schedules, we'll certainly look at it. But we want to give you guys more of what you want. Because obviously, if we can make this financially viable, we can do more of this. So to our A&R supporters, first of all, so to Ox5, Batbot, Connor L, Captain Jeepus, Goat, Halcyon Days, LFC Avenger, Sylv J003, Commander Corsi, Lunchbox, and Alan K. Thank you to all of you. To the fanboys, so to Mad Dog, Dadrek, Commander Hansen, Gunskull, Unhinged, Flexipotamus, Map Bloody, to Simon L. So Simon, I've reached out to you a couple times now, bud. Hit me up. We want to get you into that private Discord we have for our patrons, my friend. To Incorrect User, to Rockstar, to Corey F, to Dan1387, Bloodwalker, Snorlax Hunter, TT Marco, JJ Orbits, Curtis the Greek, Swain Hammer, Jamie, X23, Debearded Viking, Darth Longstride, Metalhead, Run and Gun 83, Dracul, Lily, Zeteotech, Danelle, Admirero, Frozen, Chief, Fat Honey Badger, and Pike. Thank you to all you guys. To the dedicated, so to Nightside, Conway Supreme, Abyssarum, Captain Hammer, DJB306, Morphine Dream, Cheetah, Hobbs, Tuggernuts, still my favorite, Andrew G, Domino, Real East, Done and Done, Paul Puck, Beer God, Legriv, Bartman, Cravino, Mookie, Grimnos, Scooter, Yule, Justin Beard, The Dawkins, Lemon Russ, and of course McFly. Special thanks to McFly, not only for participating so much in the Discord this week, it's been great hearing him not only talk about stuff from the show as well, but he's actually jumped into a couple of games we're playing now as well, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I just talked to him earlier today on the Discord for Genshin.
Yeah, so he actually obviously upped his sub to the dedicated level this week as well from the fanboys, so that's awesome. Thank you so much for the increased support, mate. Yeah. Much appreciated. Yeah. And to the guys that really make sure that the base bills of the show get paid so that we can at least cover the costs of the show with the equipment and also the hosting costs. So to the Multiverse Masters, so to Agent Zero, Honeycombs, Dahooch, a.k.a. the Grumpy Gamer Dad is the current little tag we're going to give for him.
There we go.
Silver Wolf,
I like it.
Bronzy, Jedi Matroza, Slim, JW, Jay Shriver, Neil Wybird Wiley, Jackie246, Lord Keen, the Quixotic One, or the Imperator, to Moon, Judas95, Fopsy Schmopsy, Sparks Zulu, Dragus, Della, and Kane. Thank you to all of you. Honestly, we really appreciate you guys coming with us from the start. We're getting the We don't know what we're going to call it. If you guys got a name for this, let us know. But the Wall of Heroes. So the videos that we've got coming up soon, we're going to have this as the backdrop for all the patrons that are up at the time of posting, to make sure that when we do the YouTube versions of these podcasts, which is why I've delayed the YouTube versions, by the way, so that we can make sure that your names are on those videos when I post them. We want to make sure that, yeah, we're showing your names up in lights, and our future A&R content will feature you guys in the outro screens as well. And yeah, obviously you guys are getting the podcast within a couple of hours after recording. Everyone else has to wait, nearly a week, just because that's the way editing works for a 3 fucking hour podcast. Legends. All right. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up, boys?
Of course, thank you all so much. We really appreciate it. Words cannot describe how thankful we are for you guys. But yeah, other than that, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I echo all of that. It's been so great talking to some new people in the Discord and getting to know you guys. Let's keep it up. Any games that you guys are looking at playing, please reach out. Maybe one of us will, be looking to do the same. So it'd be great to connect with you guys more often, both in game, not just talking about them. So let's do it up.
Yeah, that has been awesome, actually, playing with some people in the last week, or even doing the watch party last week for the boys finale.
Yeah,
that was fun. I definitely want to do more of that, like watching shit as it comes out.
Same.
Using that new watch party technology, man. Fuck yes. All right. So, look, folks, this is the end of another episode of the Alternate Reality podcast. So, if you have enjoyed what you've heard today, tell your friends about it. Join the Discord, discord.me/ANR. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, and we will read it out next week if it is a 5-star. And, of course, if you do have a couple of bucks in your pocket, and we know it's a tough time out there, folks, so we appreciate any way you can help us, head on over to patreon.com/ANR pod. I've been Chewburger84. Bye-bye to Hebrew Hammer.
See you later.
Peace out to Piker.
Do it again sometime.
How about same time next week? Cheers.